Part 142. The Pentium Era, South to North. Author, Mei-Shi Niang. Chapter 1412. He Hung-mei felt like her head was going to explode. She walked into the studio, opened the drawer of the workbench, and found 4 or 5 kinds of cold medicine. She didn't care about the amount of cold medicine. She took 2 pills of each and gathered them together. The palm of my hand became a small handful, and I stuffed them all into my mouth. I picked up the cup on the workbench and drank it down. After drinking half a glass of water, there seemed to be pills stuck to the roof of my mouth and pills stuck in my throat. I quickly took the cup to the water dispenser, took half a cup of water, and drank it hard for a while, and finally all the medicine went down. He Hung-mei stood there stunned for a while with an empty cup in her hand. When she came back, she saw the broken cell phone on the ground and kicked it to the corner. Thinking of something, she walked over again and took the card out of the phone. "Take it out." Her head still hurt. He Hung-mei found a silk scarf, tied it on her forehead and tied it tightly. Then she felt better. She went to the bathroom, brushed her teeth and washed herself. She looked up at herself in the mirror, her face was pale. She pulled out the upper half of the silk scarf she wore and covered her head. The scarf was like a beret worn sideways. It looked not only unsightly, but also a bit unique. He Hung-mei did not take off the scarf. She walked out of the bathroom and went downstairs, ready to go out to eat and buy a mobile phone. When Zhang Chen arrived at the dynamic zone upstairs, he saw that his office door was open. During the Spring Festival, Lu Ligan asked Zhang Chen for his office key. He said that when he had some free time, he could surf the internet. Bubble boobs. Although his own laptop is equipped with a wireless network card, whether it can be connected depends on his mood. Even if it is connected, the network speed is as slow as a snail, and all the faces are blurred. It looked unkempt, as if it had just been unearthed. Lu Ligan's laptop is basically just used as a DVD player for watching porn movies at night. Zhang Chen walked into his office and saw that Tan Shahan had arrived before him. 4 people were sitting there chatting. On the ground beside the coffee table, there were a lot of things piled up like a mountain, including bacon, ham, dried chicken and duck, winter bamboo shoots, pumpkins, rice cakes, and a basket of green vegetables. Zhang Chen walked over and said, "Why are you carrying so many things? How tiring it is to travel such a long distance." Xiao Wu's father smiled and said, "No matter how tired you are, it's just a load to pick up. On days like this, the shuttle bus is also very empty, and the place to get off is just opposite here, just a little way away. Besides, it's not a good thing. The pigs are raised in my own home and killed years ago. The winter bamboo shoots and oranges are from my own mountain. I make the rice cakes by myself. The vegetables are also from the vegetable patch in front of the house. I thought, you have everything else to eat, just these local goods, eat fresh." Xiao's father and sister Xiaomei came here on the tour company's shuttle bus from Yongcheng to Hangcheng. It used to stop in the yard of the Provincial Exhibition Hall in Woolen Square, but now it stops diagonally opposite Huancheng North Road. The yard of the steel window factory is indeed not far from here. These are all good things. The vegetables in the vegetable markets and supermarkets are all grown in greenhouses. Where can I find this delicious food? There are also these bacon and winter bamboo shoots. They are pickled and fresh. They are not too delicious. Just thinking about them makes me drool." Lu Ligan shouted. Zhang Chen and Tan Shahan kept nodding. Xiao Wu's father and Xiaomei also laughed. Zhang Chen looked at his watch and saw that it was almost lunchtime. Zhang Chen said, "Let's go eat and chat while eating." Lu Ligan and Tan Shahan both agreed. Xiao Wu's father and Xiaomei stood up and said they were going back and would not disturb them. Zhang Chen said, "No matter how much it is an interruption, it is rare for us not to go out during the Spring Festival this year. Originally, we should go to our uncle. It's just a New Year greeting. I didn't expect you to come first. Let's take a walk, it's the same as eating in your own hotel. Xiaomei and her father, after hearing what Zhang Chen said, stopped refusing. They couldn't catch the bus back at noon, and there was another one at 3:40. They sat down in the private room of Tuxian Jiayuan. Xiaomei and Zhang Chen said that my brother had written a letter, saying that he was fine now and that his sentence had been commuted. He also asked me to thank you. Little sister, please give me Xiaowu's address. After all these years, we only know that he is in the northwest, but we don't know where he is specifically. This year, we must go and see Xiaowu. Lu Ligan said. Zhang Chen and Tan Shehen nodded on the side. It was not the first time today that they and Xiaomei had made such a request, but Xiaomei always held off and did not give them Xiao's address. Xiaomei and her father looked at each other. Xiao's father shook his head. Xiaomei sighed and told Zhang Chen and the others, "It's my brother who won't let you. My brother said it's not worth watching and won't let you run so far away. He said he's not worth looking at." Xiaomei's eyes were red. She said, "Brother Zhang Chen, Brother Ganzi, Sister Zhen Zhen, please listen to my brother. I also want to see my brother, but my brother doesn't agree. He said, we just went. He won't see us, he won't see anyone in that kind of place." Zhang Chen, Lu Ligan, and Tan Shehen were silent. Tan Shehen took 3 red envelopes and wanted to give them to Xiaomei, and said to her, "This is what we are giving you." Xiaomei's face turned red immediately, and she quickly waved her hands and said, "No, no, 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 Sister Zhen Zhen, thank you, I can't accept it. I'm always like this now that I'm older, I'm already working." Tan Shehen scolded, "What can't be accepted? No matter how old you are still a little sister. Accept it quickly. If you don't accept it, I will be angry." Xiaomei had no choice but to stand up, bow to each of the 3 of them, thank them, and then accepted the red envelope. Tan Shehen asked Xiaomei, "Are you okay at the power plant now?" Xiaomei said yes. The secretary, factory director, and colleagues in the department all took good care of me. By the way, the section chief also told me that it had been decided that the factory would send me to study at our systems employee university this year. Semi-Paris. Tan Shehen said, "That's really good, Xiaomei, you must cherish this opportunity." Xiaomei said, "Yes, I will work hard, Sister Zhen Zhen." After eating, everyone returned to Zhang Chen's office. After sitting for a while, Xiaowu's father and Xiaomei stood up and said they were going to the steel window factory opposite to take a bus. Lu Ligan shouted, "What bus did you take? When you get here, where are you? I can let you take the shuttle bus back, and of course there will be a car to take you back to Yongcheng." At Zhang Chen's place, the driver Xiao Sheng went home for the New Year. At Lu Ligan's place, there were 3 or 4 drivers working overtime to take guests to their various projects to view houses. Xiao's father and Xiaomei quickly said, "No, no, it would be very convenient to just take the shuttle bus back," but they couldn't resist Lu Ligan. When they stood up, they could only sit down. The car came. Zhang Chen and the 3 of them sent Xiaowu's father and Xiaomei downstairs. They watched their car go. Tan Shehen also wanted to go back. She said she wanted to go back to help. It turns out that many people in the Yongcheng cultural system have retired. Now they are living in Hangzhou. Tonight, she is going to visit Lao Tan at their house and have a dinner together. Her mother is too busy alone. Zhang Chen and Lu Ligan returned to the office upstairs. As soon as they entered the door, Lu Ligan ran to Zhang Chen's desk, sat down, and turned on the computer. Zhang Chen sat on the sofa and looked at Lu Ligan. Knowing what he was doing, Zhang Chen cursed, "What are you doing sneakily? Tan Shehen just left, and you can't hold it anymore. A very decent girl, from Jingdezhen." I'm trying to trick her into coming to Hangzhou, Lu Ligan chuckled. Are you looking for death? Zhang Chen scolded. That's right, even if you die under peonies, you can be a charming ghost, Lu Ligan said. Hurry up, Zhang Chen, come over and see if this meets your standard of beauty. Zhang Chen sat there motionless, too lazy to pay attention to him. Lu Ligan soon had no time to pay attention to Zhang Chen. He put on his headphones and microphone and started whispering sweetly. Zhang Chen looked at his watch. It was already past 2 o'clock. He picked up his phone and saw that there were no missed calls or text messages. He dialed He Hongmei's number and the call went through. After the phone rang a few times, it was picked up, and He Hongmei's hoarse voice came, "What are you doing?" Zhang Chen heard something strange in the voice and asked, "What's wrong with you?" He Hongmei sniffed and said angrily, "It's nothing, I have a little cold." "Have you taken your medicine?" "Have eaten." "By the way, have you received my text message?" Zhang Chen asked. "What text message?" "Just last night, I was watching a movie with Zhang Xiangbei. My phone was muted and I didn't receive your call," Zhang Chen said. "I went back and forth and couldn't get through." He Hongmei said, "My phone is broken. I just came out and bought a new phone. So, I thought something happened." Zhang Chen breathed a sigh of relief. "By the way, you called me so many times last night, are you okay?" "No. Nothing happened. It was probably the broken phone that dialed automatically." He Hongmei yawned and said with a smile, "I took a handful of cold medicine earlier and almost fell asleep while driving." Zhang Chen said anxiously, "Then find a place quickly, stop and take a nap first, don't drive." He Hongmei said with a series of yawns, "Okay, I understand." "Are you seriously ill? Do you want me to come to Beijing now?" Zhang Chen asked. "No, no need," He Hongmei said, "there is a parking lot in front. I'll go in and take a nap first. I'm hanging up." He Hongmei said and hung up the phone. Ha 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 ha. Lu Ligan sat there, smiling and waving his hands up and down. He didn't know what funny thing that Mimi from Jingdezhen said to him. Zhang Chen stared at him for a while and shook his head. Zhang Chen stood up and wanted to go home. He was still thinking about 24 and Jack Bauer. He didn't know if he had successfully repackaged the magnetic card. Zhang Chen's cell phone rang. He thought it was He Hongmei. He picked it up and looked at it, but it was a local landline number. It seemed familiar. Zhang Chen picked it up and heard Harada Shino's voice on the phone. "Zhang Chen, Happy New Year. Where are you now?" "Happy New Year, Shino," Zhang Chen said quickly, "I'm in the company's office." "Zhang Chen, can I come and visit you now?" Harada Shino said. "Okay, welcome, I'll wait for you here," Zhang Chen said quickly. Putting down the phone, Zhang Chen saw Lu Ligan clasping his hands together, holding his palms between his thighs, and rocking back and forth proudly. Zhang Chen walked over, took off his headphones, and threw them on the desk. Zhang Chen turned his head and looked at him. Zhang Chen said, "It's over, Shino Harada is coming here now." "That international friend?" Lu Ligan asked. Zhang Chen nodded. Lu Ligan quickly told the other party, "Dear, the Japanese are about to invade here. I will tell you by tonight." After Lu Ligan finished speaking, he picked up his hand and kissed the back of it. Zhang Chen scolded, "You are already dozens of years old, but you still think you were 17 last year and 18 this year." Lu Ligan laughed and said, "Don't you understand this? This is the secret to eternal youth. Look, look, how is this breast?" Zhang Chen glanced at it and saw that the screen was full of a girl's face. He said it was not very good. "Does it look like Kurihara Komaki?" Lu Ligan asked. "It looks like," Zhang Chen said, "a country version of Kurihara Komaki, with crooked front teeth, thin eyebrows and a little dazed eyes." Lu Ligan stared at the screen for a while and clicked his tongue. "When you say that, it's true. No wonder I always feel like there's something missing." Zhang Chen, your painting eyes are poisonous. Thank you for the reward of 2 fishes at around 3 o'clock in the middle of the night. Thank you Zi Zhang said, Daos Hung 123, Winson 666, W Yuan Lei I is UW, Tianying 1978, I love purple, Galaxy, Tamagotchi, why can't I change my name, YSY 2002's monthly ticket. Thanks for all the votes and reading. I wish you all good health. The Pentium Era, South to North. Author, Mei Shi Niang. Chapter 1413. Zhang Chen and Lu Lepole sat for more than 10 minutes. Harada Shino arrived. He didn't come empty-handed. He was holding a painting in his hand. This painting was carefully wrapped with craft paper. The wrapping craft paper was very stiff, as if it's glued on top. On the outside of the craft paper, the 4 corners of the picture frame are also made of 4 triangular sheets with black plastic sheets, which are placed on the outside of the craft paper. In this way, even if they are accidentally bumped, the picture frame and the contents inside will not be damaged. Painting. Harada Shino put the painting on the conference table and said to Zhang Chen, what do you think of this painting? Zhang Chen said yes. Zhang Chen walked to the desk, took the utility knife from the pen holder, walked back and handed it to Harada Shino. Harada used the utility knife to carefully cut the transparent glue on the outside of the sheaths, took off the 4 sheaths, and then used a knife to remove the transparent glue at the seal of the craft paper, and open the craft paper. There is another layer inside, which is also the craft paper packaging. Harada Shino also opened the package. The painting was placed on the table with its back facing up. He held the white frame with both hands and turned the painting over. Zhang Chen's eyes lit up and he was immediately attracted by the painting. Zhang Chen was shocked when he looked at the signature on the painting. This painting was actually painted by Ikuo Hirayama, a world-famous painter and one of the 3 mountains of Japan, Koin Higashiyama, Matazo Kayama, and Ikuo Hirayama. Ikuo Hirayama is a UNESCO Goodwill Ambassador. He has long served as the president and honorary president of the Japan-China Friendship Association. He is enthusiastic about helping China protect Dunhuang cultural relics. The size of this painting is not large, about 55 by 55 centimeters. It is not a Dunhuang theme that Ikuo Hirayama is good at, but a still life of flowers. In a transparent glass vase, there is a large handful of red flowers. The expression technique of the whole painting is a combination of Western oil still life paintings, such as those of Redon and Caravaggio, and Japanese ukiyo-e. The roses in the painting are very realistic, but the whole painting has a more decorative effect. The red roses are blooming to the extreme, as if the petals are about to fall. If it is late at night, watching this painting, Zhang Chen felt that his whole body would suddenly become nervous, and he would be worried that the slight crunching sound of falling petals would sound at any time. The red in the picture is very full and extremely bright. Between the roses, there are dark shadows. Because of the richness of the red, the shadows look turbulent and uneasy. Although the main color of this painting is red, which is supposed to bring excitement and stimulation to people, Zhang Chen felt a kind of sadness when looking at this painting. It freezes time in its peak and decline. In the last moment, as long as it is just a little bit later, the petals of the rose will wither, and the full and rich colors will return to emptiness and silence. This is like the last swan song of life, the last note when the strings are about to break. It shows the dazzling splendor of the flower, but points to the decline after the splendor. It really makes you want to cry when you watch it. How is it? Shino Harada and Zhang Chen stood side by side. The two of them stared at the painting for a long time. Shino Harada asked. Great. It's truly a masterpiece. Zhang Chen admired, and then told Harada Shino about his feelings. Harada Shino was slightly surprised and asked Zhang Chen. Zhang Chen, do you know the name of this painting? Zhang Chen shook his head. Sad Rose. Harada Shino said. Jiang Chen was stunned. Harada Shino continued, "It seems that you really understand this painting, Jiang Chen. This painting is given to you, and also to your lakeside oil painting gallery." Jiang Chen was taken aback and said quickly, "No, no, Shino, this is too expensive. I cannot accept such an expensive gift from you." "This is not mine," Harada Shino said. "I didn't give it to you either." Seeing that Jiang Chen didn't understand, he explained. "This painting was made when I went to Mr. Hirayama Ikuo's home and told him about you. He picked out this painting himself and asked me to bring it to China and give it to your lakeside oil painting gallery." Mr. Hirayama Ikuo also said, when he has the opportunity to come to China again, he will definitely come to Hangzhou and go to your art gallery. He wants to see his paintings and hang them with the works of his Chinese colleagues. Regarding this painting, Harada Shino had nothing to say to Jiang Chen. When he went to Mr. Hirayama Ikuo's house, he brought the album from the Lakeside Oil Painting Gallery. Hirayama Ikuo opened the album and saw Xiaoshu's painting sister. He was attracted. Shino Harada explained to him who the sister was and what her relationship was with Jiang Chen and Xiaoshu, the author of the painting. Harada Shino also told Mr. Hirayama Ikuo that Jiang Chen brought Xiao Zhao's urn home from the cemetery and placed it beside the bed. Harada Shino was also present that day. With tears in his eyes, Mr. Ikuo Hirayama selected this painting and asked Shino Harada to donate it to Jiang Chen and the Lakeside Oil Painting Gallery. Harada Shino feels that Sad Rose and sister are similar in approach. "Isn't this Rose also Xiao Zhao? Then you must thank Mr. Ikuo Hirayama for me," Jiang Chen said. "I've already thanked you," Harada Shino smiled. The three of them went to the sofa and sat down. Jiang Chen made tea for Harada Shino. Harada Shino picked up the teacup with his left hand and the cup lid with his right hand. He gently scraped the tea leaves on the water. Jiang Chen looked at it. Looking at him, I felt that he seemed to have something on his mind. Harada Shino scraped it a dozen times and put the cup down instead of drinking. He looked at Jiang Chen and said, "Jiang Chen, I will be returning to Japan in a few days." "On vacation?" Jiang Chen asked. Harada Shino shook his head and sighed softly. He said, "I may not come back again. Our offices in Hangzhou and Beijing have been withdrawn." When Harada Shino said this, a trace of sadness flashed in his eyes, and Jiang Chen asked, "Why?" Harada Shino said, "Now, unlike in previous years, there are fewer and fewer film and television projects cooperating between Japan and China, and there is no need for an office to exist. Also, after our old president of Shokaku Pictures retired, a new one took over. The new president has a different understanding of China than the old president. There are not as many people in Japan like Mr. Hirayama Ikuo and the old president who have good feelings for China as before." Harada Shino looked at Jiang Chen, smiled bitterly, and said, "I have been in Hangzhou for 12 years. This is my second hometown. Jiang Chen, when I really had to leave, I was very sad, just like Mr. Ikuo Hirayama. I was at his home and talked to him. He is also very sad about the current situation of the two countries. Jiang Chen, I am just like that painting, the sad Harada Shino, and there is a sense of failure." "The taste of failure?" Jiang Chen asked. "Yes, the smell of failure," Jiang Chen Harada Shino said. "When I first came to China, I came with the idea of doing something for Japan-China friendship and cultural exchanges between the two countries. However, more than 10 years have passed, and the two countries are no better than each other, and there are even more conflicts. We Japanese have many misunderstandings about China, and you also have many misunderstandings about us. This makes me feel that all the work I have done in the past 10 years has been in vain, and there is no achievement at all." Jiang Chen and Lu Ligan understood what Shino Harada meant by the taste of failure. "Well, I'm afraid you have more responsibility," Lu Ligan said. "We have never invaded you. It was you who invaded us, and now you are turning around and calling us a China threat." Harada Shino nodded and said, "You are right, but things are not that simple." "Isn't that the truth?" Lu Ligan asked. "It should be said that the current situation is like this, but the reasons behind it are complicated. Especially when you are developing very fast and your GDP will soon surpass ours in Japan, many Japanese people feel very complicated." Harada Shino said. "Why is it complicated?" Zhang Chen asked. "There are some people, like Mr. Hirayama Ikuo, like me, we sincerely hope that China will be better, and there are also some selfish people who feel that they can only be better for themselves, and no one else can be better, let alone better. There are such people everywhere, they are not worth mentioning. There are still many Japanese people, as I said, when they look at China, they have mixed emotions. They wish you well, but they are also worried." "Worried? What are you worried about?" Lu Ligan asked. Harada Shino smiled and said, "Japan has indeed done very bad things to China. Let me give an analogy. If you have a neighbor and you bully him, and then you see that he has a son at home, slowly are you worried about growing up and getting stronger? Aren't you worried that he will seek revenge on you and beat you up?" Lu Ligan was stunned for a moment, and then said, "What you said makes sense, and it seems normal to worry. However, you guys, to use a Chinese saying, it is called judging the heart of a gentleman with the heart of a villain." "I hope so," Harada Shino said. "What the Pole said is not unreasonable," Zhang Chen and Harada Shino said. "I have seen a piece of information that said that after Japan surrendered, because there was no transportation means to transport your people back to the country, tens of thousands of people, the prisoners of war stranded in Jianguan camp in Shanghai, could not wait for a ship for weeks and months. General Zheng Dongguo organized them to build the Shanghai-Hangzhou Highway. When the highway was being built, these prisoners of war lived in villages along the highway. At that time, the anti-Japanese war had just ended, and the Chinese people still remembered the cruelty of Japanese soldiers. General Zheng Dongguo, UXIN, was worried that the common people would retaliate against prisoners of war and ordered his troops to be on strict alert. But in the end, such a thing has never happened once. Chinese people are still very kind." Harada Shino nodded and said, "Zhang Chen, what you said is very interesting. I will look for information on this when I go back and the people who experienced it at the time. If possible, I will make it into a documentary." Now, in Japan, there are too few things that can help us understand China better. Don't worry, Brother Shino, even in Japan during the period when J-state prevailed, Lu Xun still had his friendship with Mr. Fujino. Lu Ligan said, "No matter what, you will always have me and Zhang in Hangzhou Chen, my two friends. Even if you return to China, we welcome you to come back to Hangzhou at any time. Thank you Jinwu Lanji for your monthly ticket. Thanks for all the votes and reading. Have a good evening everyone. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Pentium Era, South to North. Author, Mei Shi Niang. Chapter 1414. Zhang Chen wanted to invite Harada Shino to dinner. Harada Shino said that some Japanese friends in Hangzhou held a party in the evening as a farewell party. Lu Ligan said, "Then tomorrow night, we must also have a farewell banquet." Harada Shino said, "Okay, then go to Tuxianjin. After returning to Japan, I don't know when I can eat Tuxianjin's food again." Zhang Chen agreed, "Tomorrow night, we will go to Tuxianjiyuan, and you can eat everything you want." Harada Shino smiled and stood up to say goodbye. After Harada Shino left, Zhang Chen immediately called Zhao Xian and Xiaoshu and asked them to come over and see Ikuo Hirayama's original work. Yao Fen came with Xiaoshu, and the three of them were amazed when they saw this painting. Zhang Chen asked how was Xiaoshu. Xiaoshu said, "Too damn sensitive." Zhang Chen nodded. He knew what Xiaoshu was talking about was color. In the final analysis, Painting is still an art of lines and colors. Before the invention of the camera, shape was still the focus of attention of painters. Classical painters such as Ingres, Rembrandt, Rubens, and Velázquez are actually responsible for the role of photographers. The orders they accept require them to use their brushes to record portraits. The more realistic the portraits, the better. Well, shape fills the entire picture. When it comes to the Impressionist painters Monet and Van Gogh, the shape begins to deform. By the time of the Expressionist and Cubist painters Munch and Picasso, shape began to be deconstructed, and colors and lines began to stand out. By the time Futurist painters such as Miro and Paul Klee appeared, shape had become symbols and symbols. Blocks of color are no longer concrete shapes. By Mondrian, shapes completely disappeared, and the picture turned into blocks of color with geometric patterns. After Warhol, artists began to go further, and many even left the easel and played with installation and performance art. Zhang Chen has always believed that those who do installation and performance art can of course be called artists, but those who do installations are closer to sculptors, and those who do performance art are closer to performing artists and can no longer be called painters. Painters still have to stick to their brushes and easels. Throughout the history of the easel, no matter how it changes, what has never disappeared are lines and colors. When it came to Chu Taichun and Zhao Weoqi, they borrowed the freehand brushwork and splashing techniques of Chinese painting to splash colors, and even the lines began to disappear. But the color is always there. After leaving the shape and lines, the color becomes everything on the picture. Through their relationship with each other, they constitute the rhythm and mood of a painting. A good painter must be one who is very sensitive to color. Zhang Chen looked at this sad rose, and what interested him was how this sadness was conveyed. Roses do not give people a feeling of sadness. What they can bring is color. It is through the arrangement of colors on the picture, the bright red rose and the brown shadow, the warm red and the cold white of the glass vase, and the green the leaves are like a musician organizing different notes together, and sadness emerges from this careful arrangement. If you put sad rose and Xiaoshu's sister together, both express the theme of sadness. Xiaoshu's sister relies on the image of the sister on the screen and the back of Zhang Chen. To express this kind of sadness, Sad Rose by Hirayama Ikuo is more pure, it is expressed by the ingenious and sensitive arrangement of colors. Zhang Chen knew that when Xiaoshu said he was sensitive, he was convinced in his heart. Zhang Chen is also convinced. Not many people are convinced by him, but he is convinced by this painting. Zhang Chen asked Xiaoshu and Zhao Xian to take the painting to the Lakeside Oil Painting Gallery. Zhang Chen and Zhao Xian said that they should store it in the warehouse first, and then display it after I figure out how to release it. Zhao Xian said yes. Harada Shino stayed in Hangzhou for another 4 days, and it was time to go back to Japan. Zhang Chen went to the airport to see him off. When Harada Shino pushed the luggage trolley towards the security checkpoint, Zhang Chen felt that his back was a little rickety. Just like the figure of his back in Xiaoshu's sister, Zhang Chen couldn't help but feel sad. He thought that this was probably a figure that smelled of failure, a figure that had been abandoned or hit hard by fate. 12 years was enough to extinguish any enthusiasm. 12 years would be enough to extinguish any enthusiasm. 12 years would be enough to extinguish the dream of Hangzhou and wake up from the dream. Sometimes, I find myself facing the moon, nothing has changed at all, and nothing can be changed. This is probably the sorrow of little people. For a moment, Zhang Chen wanted to draw this back figure. If he wanted to name it, he would name it Sad Back Figure, or just like Zhu Ziqing, just name it Back Figure. The tone of Zhu Ziqing's article was also the tone of sadness. Shino Harada passed the security check, turned around, stood on tiptoes, and stretched his body and raised arms upwards, pulling out the hem of his shirt tucked into his belt. Harada Shino waved to Zhang Chen, and Zhang Chen waved to him, then looked at his back and disappeared. Zhang Chen walked to the parking lot and got into the car, but he didn't start the car immediately. He didn't know why. He felt so nervous that he wanted to find someone to talk to. He could say whatever he wanted, but he felt that he didn't have it at all. A person who is suitable to speak in this situation and who can understand himself. At this moment, Jiang Chen really missed Xiao Zhao. If Xiao Zhao was by his side, Jiang Chen would not need to speak, he would just hold her and bury his head in her arms. Xiao Zhao will ask softly, "Dear, what's wrong with you?" Jiang Chenhui said nothing and just shook his head. Xiao Zhao would not ask any more questions. She knew that this was the time when her man was most vulnerable. She could feel it. Xiao Zhao stopped talking. She put her hands into his hair and rubbed it gently. Jiang Chen will fall asleep soon. Jiang Chen sat blankly for a while, picked up his phone, found He Hongmei's phone number, looked at it, sighed, and put the phone down. Since that day, He Hongmei changed her mobile phone. Jiang Chen felt that it seemed like the person had changed as well. The number of phone calls they had every day had become less, and the duration of each call had also become shorter. When the two of them were talking on the phone, Jiang Chen could feel that He Hongmei was always a little absent-minded. Often while talking on the phone, he suddenly remembered something urgent to do, and said okay, bye and left. The phone was hung up. This is not only the case when talking on the phone, but also now on MSN many times. Jiang Chen stares at the computer and sees He Hongmei's profile picture showing offline, or a cup of coffee appearing, indicating that when she left, Jiang Chen I felt strongly that she was actually in front of the computer, and she had set the status. Jiang Chen's feeling was quickly verified. 2 or 3 times, when Jiang Chen turned on the computer, he saw that He Hongmei was clearly online. When he was about to say hello to her, He Hongmei's state immediately changed to offline. How could such a coincidence happen? Jiang Chen concluded that He Hongmei must have seen him online before remembering that her status had not changed. In a hurry, I changed it. This feeling was like two people meeting face to face and one of them turning around and running away. This made Jiang Chen feel terrible, but he couldn't say anything. This has never happened before. In the past, as long as two people saw each other online, they would immediately send a rose as a greeting, and then start chatting in the dialog box, from text to voice to video, until He Hongmei shouted, "Oh, master, I can't do anything like this. I just chat with you all day long. Turn it off. Turn off MSN quickly." She asked Jiang Chen to turn it off, but she still couldn't bear it. Seeing that Jiang Chen didn't leave immediately, she giggled and asked, "What else do you want to say?" Jiang Chen said something, and the two of them continued talking until He Hongmei shouted again, "Turn it off, don't be a swindler, turn off MSN quickly." After doing this 3 or 5 times, he was willing to let Jiang Chen go. Jiang Chen opened the MSN dialog box and stared at the empty dialog box. There was nothing on it. According to their previous habits, even if the other party was not online, as long as he was online, he would leave a rose for the other party. The two of them, this habit originated from a poem they saw, which said, "Someone sent flowers today / you will have a happy day / as if the empty vase / has been waiting for many days." How much they hope each other can be happy every day, so whenever they have a chance, they will send a rose. Even if you were here in front of me, even if it was just a coincidence that you happened to be leaving when I came, then there should be a rose in this dialog box. Jiang Chen stared at the computer. He once again felt that He Hongmei was also looking at the computer. Jiang Chen sent out a rose. The other side was quiet. Jiang Chen waited for a while, but there was still no response. Jiang Chen turned off the computer and got up. In Xiaosha factory. By the time Jiang Chen arrived in Xiaosha, he walked around the workshop and returned to the office. More than 2 hours had passed. Jiang Chen turned on the computer and logged onto MSN. He Hongmei had quietly sent back a rose, but she was offline again. In the dialog box, There were only 2 solitary roses and nothing else. Jiang Chen is not a fool. He knows that there is already a rift between him and He Hongmei. The two people seem to be a little blurred and can't see each other clearly. Jiang Chen wants to go to Beijing, but he is also afraid of going to Beijing. He is afraid that after this trip to Beijing, it will be a farewell party and it will bring an end to their relationship. After hesitating for a long time, Jiang Chen finally decided not to go to Beijing. In this regard, Jiang Chen has never been a decisive person. Contrary to the speed with which he draws and the brightness with which he decides on other matters, when encountering such things, Jiang Chen always appears to be sloppy, a little dull, and even idiot. Jiang Chen felt that the current situation between him and He Hongmei seemed a bit similar to the situation between him and Jin Lily when they were in Haikan. They knew that there was a problem, but they just didn't think of a solution. They dragged it on day by day, and finally ended up, to worsen. Jiang Chen knew that this was not good, but he had no choice. He had such a character. Many words would just keep in his mind and would stink, and he would not say them out. On the one hand, he was afraid of breaking up, and on the other hand, he always put it off. Put on a look that is whatever you like. After all these years, nothing seems to have changed. Isn't it said that the situation is easy to change but the nature is hard to change? Jiang Chen's nature is just like this. Outsiders think this guy is easy to get along with, but the closer he is to people, the more difficult he is. Jiang Chen sighed, started the car and backed up. With a bang, it hit a hunky car that happened to be passing by in the passage behind. Thank you for the reward of 2 fishes at around 3 o'clock in the middle of the night. Thank you Ba Liang, Tamagotchi, Book Friends 1611222113501799, Zipanjiang 1, The Fish-Eating Brother, Tianying 1978, Running with the Cow, Book Friends 201902041326121888, Book Friends 202002231936274889, Hurricane 0669, Qian Dad, Book Friends 201803021906048835 Monthly Pass. Thanks for all the votes and reading. I wish you all good health. The Pentium Era, South to North. Author, Mei Shi Niang. Chapter 1415. Xiaofang called Jiang Chen and told him that she had obtained all the credits, and the next step was the thesis defense. There should be no problem. My tutor told me that as long as I performed normally, he would grade my thesis very high. He told me that as long as I clearly explain the basic points of the paper during the defense, passing the defense will not be a big problem. Great, Jiang Chen said. Xiaofang giggled on the phone and asked, "Brother-in-law, can you come to my graduation ceremony? My parents will accompany me." Jiang Chen said okay. When is the graduation ceremony? May 24th, Xiaofang said. There are still more than 2 months left, and it's still too late to apply for a visa. Then I will apply for a visa immediately tomorrow, Jiang Chen said. Xiaofang said yes, thank you brother-in-law. By the way, brother-in-law, how are you and sister Hongmei doing now? Xiaofang asked. It's okay, Jiang Chen said. That's not good, Xiaofang sighed. I asked sister Hongmei, and she was hesitant. What's going on with you two? Jiang Chen thought to himself, I don't know what's going on. All conditions are met, why can't you reach the boiling point? Xiaofang asked. Jiang Chen held the phone and smiled bitterly. He didn't want to talk about this issue anymore. The more he said, the more clearly he couldn't explain it. Jiang Chen felt that it would only become more confusing. Jiang Chen changed the subject and asked, Xiaofang, what do you want to eat? I will bring it to you when the time comes. There are so many things I want to eat, but I'm afraid you won't be able to bring any of them. Can you bring spicy hot pot? Xiaofang giggled, I also want to eat stinky tofu. Zhang Chen laughed and said, "There's no need to bring stinky tofu. If I bring a piece of tofu, it will stink even when I get to the United States." Xiao Fang laughed and said it was true. "Every time I go to Chinatown, I look for stinky tofu everywhere, but I can't find it. However, I heard people say that there is stinky tofu in Chinatown. Okay, when I come, I will accompany you to look for it together," Zhang Chen said. "I have a better nose." "Okay, that's great," Xiao Fang shouted happily. After hanging up Xiao Fang's phone, Zhang Chen felt very emotional. He remembered that when he and Xiao Zhao returned to their home for the first time, Xiao Fang was still a little girl who liked to lean on Xiao Zhao's side, hold her hand, and blush when talking. "Girl, in the blink of an eye, I have graduated from graduate school and will soon become a doctor. Time flies so fast." Zhang Chen remembered Xiao Fang's previous question again. He thought that it was not just Xiao Fang. From the first time, he was holding a bag of xiaolongbao in one hand and a pair of chopsticks in the other, eating while walking into their booth. "How long have you known He Hungmei? They have gone through so many things together. Logically speaking, they should have known each other well for a long time. Why do they feel more and more strange now?" Zhang Chen still clearly remembers that day when He Hungmei walked into their stall. She found a stool and sat down on her own. She sat down and said to him with a smile, "Wait while I finish eating the buns first." From that day on, He Hungmei became one of them, almost like family. Zhang Chen sighed, feeling a little achy in his heart. Zhang Chen looked at the computer screen in front of him. On MSN, He Hungmei's status still showed leaving. Zhang Chen sent a rose, thought for a while, and then sent a hug picture. Xiao Sheng walked in from outside the door. Zhang Chen looked at him and asked, "How is it?" Xiao Sheng came over, put Xiao Zhao's BMW keys on the table, and told him that the collision was not very serious, just the rear bumper was broken, and that it was fine inside, and it could be repaired the day after tomorrow. Zhang Chen nodded and said to Xiao Sheng, "You can take me to Shanghai tomorrow." Xiao Sheng said, "Yes. What time will we leave?" "Come early, pick me up at my house at 7 o'clock," Zhang Chen said. Stimulated by the house purchase and household registration policy, the property market in Hangzhou has begun to pick up. However, there are cities that have picked up faster than Hangzhou. Instead of picking up, they have immediately boiled over, boiling, and simmering. Heat. For the first time, the housing prices in Hangzhou no longer led other cities in the country. The housing prices in the four cities of Beijing, Shanghai, Guangzhou, and Shenzhen suddenly left other cities behind and surged forward, as if they were agreed upon. The housing prices in major cities across the country were the first. For once, there begins to be separation and no longer acting in concert as a collective. This phenomenon makes many people say they can't understand it. Real estate developers in Hangzhou blame the Hangzhou city government for lagging behind Beijing, Shanghai, Guangzhou, and Shenzhen in the startup of Hangzhou's real estate market. The previous year's policies were too heavy-handed and the medicine was too harsh, which has caused the entire Hangzhou real estate industry to suffer. Fell down suddenly, lying on the ground, half of his life was gone. Of course it takes time for a person who has lost half his life to get better. Lu Ligan was worried every day. He turned on his computer and looked at the new housing prices and real estate market news in Beijing, Shanghai, Guangzhou, and Shenzhen every day, and he felt a little uneasy in his heart. The central government's macro control policies have not ended. Isn't the skyrocketing housing prices in these cities an attempt to stimulate the introduction of more stringent control measures? If so, it has only been a few good days. Will it be over soon? Lao Wan called Lu Ligan excitedly every day and told Lu Ligan how much the house prices had increased in the project today. Lu Ligan scolded, "It's going up, it's going up, it's going up, and I hear you talk about price increases every day." Lao Wan smiled and said, "There is no way, Mr. Lu, the projects around are priced at one price per day. We have to make money from this ready-made money. The success rate. Lu Ligan and Lao Wan said, even if you don't change the price, I will sell the houses in the project as soon as possible. Lao Wan was surprised and thought to himself, our company's houses have always been at a high price in the same area. When did Mr. Lu stop pursuing high housing prices? Didn't he always say, you get what you pay for? Let them strictly control the quality of all projects and be the price leader on the other hand. If that happens, Mr. Lu, then we will be the cheapest compared to the surrounding projects, Lao Wan said. I don't care, Lao Wan, I just demand that your Shanghai project be sold as soon as possible, no matter what, by any means, Lu Ligan said. Do you understand, Lao Wan? I understand, Mr. Lu, Lao Wan said. Putting down the phone, Lao Wan felt uneasy. He picked up the phone and called Tan Shahen again. He told Tan Shahen about the conversation between him and Lu Ligan just now, and also told her that Lu Ligan wanted him to do whatever it took. The requirement to sell the house by any means necessary. Although Tan Shahen also felt that Lu Ligan was a bit of a bastard, she still told Lao Wan that you listen to Mr. Lu and do as he asks. Lao Wan said yes. After hanging up the phone, Tan Shahen stood up and walked to Lu Ligan's office. Lu Ligan was sitting there, holding a cigarette in his hand. He had a new way of playing. He put the cigarette on the table, packed the tobacco inside, and left a section on it. He took out a cigarette, broke it off, took out the tobacco inside, and stuffed the tobacco into the cigarette in front and the empty part on the head, but it couldn't be stuffed properly, either the cigarette paper was torn or deflated. He looked at Tan Shahen, who came in, threw the cigarette in his hand on the table, and said to Tan Shahen angrily, the average price in Beijing increased by 320 yuan yesterday from the day before yesterday. These people really don't remember to fight. Tan Shahen asked, is it possible that you are nervous? How is it possible? Lu Ligan said, what does the above policy say? Stability is the most important thing. What year is it today? 2006. It is still more than 2 years away from the 2008 Beijing Olympics. If it is because the rising housing prices have caused a lot of complaints in the capital, do you think the higher UPS will just ignore it? Are those flat-headed guys in Beijing out of their minds? Real estate bosses in Beijing are famous in the industry for liking crew cuts and wearing cloth shoes, so Lu Ligan calls them crew cut brothers. Tan Shahen thought about Lu Ligan's words and felt that they made sense. In a country where politics takes the lead, stability is the most important thing in politics and no one will be allowed to challenge it. Tan Shahen sighed and said, then we have no choice but to watch them go crazy. You can still watch them perish, Lu Ligan scolded, this is all what you humming asked for. Lu Ligan's words came true. Looking at the soaring housing prices in Beijing, Shanghai, Guangzhou, and Shenzhen, and the people's growing aversion to high housing prices, decision-makers can't sit still. On May 17, the Prime Minister of the State Council presided over an executive meeting of the State Council and formally proposed 6 measures to promote the healthy development of the real estate industry, known as the 6 national measures in history. Next, from June to December, the regulatory forces of 9 ministries and commissions, including the Central Bank, the Ministry of Finance, the Ministry of Land and Resources, the Ministry of Construction, the Development and Reform Commission, and the Ministry of Supervision, successively introduced 13 real estate policies in just 6 months. Control policy. Policies are becoming more stringent, more targeted, and the proposed measures are becoming more and more specific, involving housing structure, land management, taxation, credit, market transaction order, and even anti-corruption and other aspects and links. The market has finally, I feel, an unprecedented regulatory storm, not that the storm is about to come, but that it is coming more violently. Among these policies, the most famous and the one that has had the most profound impact on China's real estate industry since then is: since June 1, 2006, For all newly approved and newly started commercial housing construction, the proportion of housing area with a floor area of less than 90 square meters must account for more than 70% of the total development and construction area. This is the abbreviation of the 90/70ths policy. Lou Ligon felt that this era was coming towards him. Before this, among the projects they started building, the smallest unit was 112 square meters, except for loft apartment. Lou Ligon also felt scared at the same time. Fortunately, the Dragon family had completed all the approval procedures last year and had started construction. If it were done now, it would be in vain. At this time, the real estate developers in Hangzhou thanked the Hangzhou city government for its vigorous use of medicine last year, which allowed them to survive a difficult 2005. They even survived 2005. Are you still afraid of 2006? Hangzhou's buying a house into a household policy is obviously contrary to the general direction of the above-mentioned regulation. After being implemented for several months, in June, after the National 6 regulations came out, it came to an end. The real estate market has always been known as the policy market. With the continuous introduction of various measures by the central government, the real estate market in various places has also begun to cool down. Lou Ligon looked out the window and thought to himself, this summer has not officially arrived yet, and cicada has not yet arrived. Climbing to the treetops, winter has already arrived. Get ready to spend the winter in the dog days of summer, Lou Ligon and Tan Shahan said. When the 6 national regulations came down, Lao Wan called Lou Ligon and said, Mr. Lou, did you have any gossip in advance? How did you estimate so accurately? You've guessed it all. Not only did you guess correctly, you didn't know that I also went to Beijing and participated in the formulation of policies, Lou Ligon said seriously. Really? Why have I never heard of it? Lao Wan asked. Lou Ligon laughed, and then Lao Wan realized that Lou Ligon was teasing him, and Lao Wan also laughed. How is the situation there? Lou Ligon asked. According to your instructions, almost everything that should be sold has been sold. Now it is those companies that are reluctant to sell, and they are complaining, Lao Wan said. Lou Ligon suddenly thought of a sentence, if you come out to fool around, you will have to pay back sooner or later. Thank you Huhu and Deos Hung 123 for the reward. Thank you Huhu for your monthly vote. Thanks for all the votes and reading. Good evening everyone. The Pentium Era, South to North. Author, Mei Shi Niang. Chapter 1416. If you come out to fool around, you will have to pay it back sooner or later. Bad news about the real estate industry continues to come from all over the country. Some of the top 100 real estate companies in the country have been unable to hold on any longer and waved goodbye to the real estate industry. Some people joke that China's real estate companies became the result of quantitative easing. Or in the words of the central government, the failure of proactive and prudent monetary policy was 50% due to macroeconomic control. Some people even joke that Yangma is the largest bookmaker in China's real estate industry. The collapse of real estate companies, without exception, has only one reason, and that is the break in the capital chain. When the tide came up, everyone was splashing happily in the water, laughing and smiling, and their faces were radiant. When the tide went out, I realized that no one was wearing shorts and their buttocks were bare. The entire real estate industry in China has developed so fast that it took almost less than 10 years to create giant companies one after another. These companies have very little accumulation, and their funds are basically through this and that. With various means and paths, they were financed from various financial institutions, their pockets were bulging, and they set up the overlord's flag at the top of the city one by one. It looks like there are many cities and towns with flags fluttering, but in fact, underneath this dazzling chaos is the same group of naked people. Most of the bosses of these real estate companies have no experience or background in business management. Most of them have had rough experiences and sufficient social experience. In addition, they are courageous and have a strong gambling habit. They dare to take advantage of the situation when everyone is still looking at the smoke. Make a bet, and when others are still hesitating, make a move. Standing at the forefront of the times, in the midst of turbulent events, when they themselves didn't even know what was going on, they suddenly looked back and found that they had become a character. They are heroes created by the times, and they can easily be turned into bears by the times. Anyway, only those who can survive in the waves are qualified to talk and laugh, and even start to show a gentle smile. By this time, of course they have put on shorts, and they are still CK or Versace. The bad news that keeps coming out makes people feel uneasy. Among them, the most powerful rumor is that Sun Hongbin's Sunchi is about to be unable to hold on. It is looking for partners everywhere. Partners, this is a nice word. To put it bluntly, it is in find a buyer who can take over. In contrast, the entire real estate industry in Hangzhou seemed to be calm in 2006. Those grassroots teams with little strength and foundation were eliminated last year, and those who can stay have basically been found. Their own livelihood and method, coupled with the Indian summer brought by buying a house and moving into a household in the first half of the year, allowed them to earn some pocket money anyway. In addition, before the whip they raised this year was wielded, the market completely reversed, and they exited at the starting line without much loss. This year's real estate fair was uneventful, and so was the land auction. Everyone has long been accustomed to the impressive performance of Lu Ligan's Zhejiang Jingxiu at the land auction, but last year, we saw 3 Hong Kong properties after predators entered Hangzhou. Another protagonist appeared in this year's Hangzhou land auction, competing against Zhejiang Jingxiu. Everyone felt that there was something good to watch. The protagonist of this stage is Vanke Group. After taking a stake in Nanda Group last year, Vanke Group took full control of Nanda this year and officially entered Hangzhou. Their official move into Hangzhou was to acquire 2 plots of land in Jibao alone, and then joined forces with Kunhe Construction to win the plot of land in Zixi Butterfly Garden. As a result, Vanke became the first domestic real estate giant to enter the real estate market in Hangzhou, which was relatively closed before and felt that foreign monks were not effective. With the entry of Vanke, other first-class domestic real estate companies also began to enter Hangzhou this year. The real estate market in Hangzhou has become an arena for domestic real estate giants. In the bleak cold wind, Hangzhou the city was therefore not cold. On June 22, the Hangzhou city government announced that in the next few years, it will spend 150 billion yuan to carry out a large-scale transformation in the eastern part of Hangzhou, including the Shanghai-Hangzhou Maglev, Shanghai-Hangzhou, Hangning, Hangzhou-Ningbo, the construction of 4 high-speed intercity trains, the subway, the second channel of the canal, the construction of the new East Railway Station, the relocation of the East Bus Station and Sijiking Clothing Market, etc. At the same time, a large number of urban villages will be renovated, and large residential areas will be built in Dingqiao, Jibao, Xiaosha and other places. From this, the slogan 150 billion decisive battle in the East was born, and the east of Hangzhou has attracted huge development opportunities. On the same day that Zhang Chen went to Yale University in New Haven in the United States to attend Xiaofang's graduation ceremony, Mr. Chiao flew over from Shenzhen. With him, there were also lawyers, notaries, and dispatched personnel from the Hong Kong Stock Exchange. They came to meet with Lu Ligan and them to confirm and sign the final procedures for Jingxia Group's listing on the Hong Kong main board. Lu Ligan was sitting in his office with great satisfaction. When he thought that he was about to become the chairman of a listed company, he couldn't help but laugh. The chairman of a listed company is a character that can often be seen in Hong Kong movies and TV shows. They are all well dressed. Wherever they go, a large group of people follow them, and there is also a stammering the little secretary, an arrogant female assistant. Lu Ligan looked around his office and felt regretful in his heart. He felt that this old house did not look like a place where the chairman of a listed company would stay. It should be on the top floor in the center of Hangzhou. He imagined he stood in front of the large floor-to-ceiling glass with his hands behind his back, looking at the West Lake in the distance. There was a knock on the door behind him, and he said, "Come in." The stammering little secretary came in and stammered that so-and-so is here. "Chairman, they are waiting for you in the conference room." Lu Ligan nodded slightly, and the stammering little secretary withdrew. "I asked them to wait there for a while. I am not in a hurry. I have to see enough of the misty waves of the West Lake before I go to see your place." A flattering face. Lu Ligan laughed out loud when he thought of this. What a pity, what a pity. The top floor in the center of Hangzhou is now someone else's office and has nothing to do with me. The scene I imagined will always remain in my imagination. Lu Ligan clicked his tongue, picked up the cigarette on the table, and smoked it, his heart full of regrets. There are always a lot of unsatisfactory things in life, and there are also some good things, but damn, when a good thing comes, there are always a lot of unsatisfactory things involved. He got his wish and was able to be listed in Hong Kong. Unfortunately, it was not on the top floor of the center of Hangzhou. Unfortunately, there was no stammering secretary, not even an arrogant female assistant, only a noble wife. Lu Ligan stared at the cigarettes on the table and wondered if he should switch to smoking cigars. Don't the elites in the business world and the leaders among smokers all smoke cigars and drink red wine? How could they smoke cigarettes like him? I drank red yeast wine and had to urinate urgently. There was not even a bathroom in the office. Lu Ligan stood up, walked out of the door, and went to the bathroom. When Lu Ligan passed by every office, he could hear the laughter and laughter coming from inside. Ever since Mr. Chiao and the others came and left, Lu Ligan found that the atmosphere of the entire Kyoshi Academy had changed. There seemed to be a hint of drunkenness in the air. Everyone knew that Mr. Chiao and the others had come and gone, and they had no interest in the company. And what it means to them personally. Each of them has shares in the company. As soon as the listing bell rings, they are no longer just office workers, but millionaires. The laughter of the rich is so hearty. They should be happy, and Lu Ligan also wants to see them happy. When they are happy, Lu Ligan feels that he is also very happy. I can't bless all living beings in the world, so I will give it to the people in this yard and more of all kinds of things. If the people in the branch bring joy and happiness, that is also very good. When Lu Ligan came back from the bathroom and passed Tan Shahan's office, he saw Lao Tan inside, and the two of them were also joking. Lu Ligan walked in, and Lao Tan smiled and said to him, "You haven't seen that few people in this company are calm enough to come to work." Lu Ligan smiled and said, "You will reap melons if you sow, and you will reap benevolence if you ask for kindness. That is also very good. We have worked hard for so many years, and we should be happy." Tan Shahan looked at Lu Ligan and said with a smile, "What you said is quite good. It can be included in the president's quotations." Old Tan laughed. "That's right," Lu Ligan said, "after being cultivated by the party for so many years, I still have this awareness. Shameless, you don't even know which way to open the door of the party organization, and you are still being cultivated by the party," Tan Shahan scolded. "Your consciousness is really low. We have known since we were young that we have been bathed in the sunshine and rain of the party. Is it wrong to say that we have been cultivated by the party?" Lu Li gave her a thumbs up. Lao Tan looked at the two of them and asked, "Am I here to watch you bicker, or am I trying to avoid it?" Lu Ligan waved his hand and said, "Don't leave. I have something to discuss with you." "What's the matter?" Lao Tan asked. "Can we move forward with the progress of Dragon Family?" Lu Ligan asked. "Why, didn't you say that no matter how the situation changes, the Dragon Family will proceed step by step and proceed as planned?" Lao Tan asked. "I say absolutely, this plan just can't keep up with the changes," Lu Ligan said. Tan Shahan asked, What do you think? I'm thinking that as soon as the news of our company's listing in Hong Kong comes out, it will definitely cause a sensation in the media. If we launch Dragon Family at the same time, will it be more attractive? Lu said the poll. But, in such a big environment, Tan Shahan said worriedly. It is in such a general environment that 70/90ths comes out. Those customers who can afford to buy a house in the Dragon family know that it will be difficult to own such a big house in the future. If they miss this opportunity, they may not have it. Do you think this is beneficial to us? Lu Ligan asked. Lao Tan and Tan Shahan both felt that what Lu Ligan said was reasonable. Taking advantage of the opportunity of their company's listing in Hong Kong, they could expand the popularity of the Dragon family. Lao Tan thought about it in his mind and said, it may be difficult to drive them all out. We can drive out some of them from each building. Lu Ligan thought for a while and said, in this way, instead of driving out part of each building, we go into the community and the building closest to the outside. Concentrate our efforts and take down the entire building as a model building. In this way, customers can know what happened to the whole building. Also, take down the garden in the community. Lao Tan nodded and said yes, I will go to the site immediately and change the construction plan. Thank you for the reward of 2 fishes at around 3 o'clock in the middle of the night. Thank you for your monthly votes from Guangzhou, Blue Imagination, Tianying 1978, Why Can't I Change My Name, Chien Dad, Book Friends 2018030219060485, and Book Friends 202009031727593111. Thanks for all the votes and reading. I wish you all good health. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Pentium Era, South to North. Author, Mei Shi Niang. Chapter 1417. When Zhang Chen went to the United States this time, Xiaofang drove to New York's John F. Kennedy Airport to pick him up. They stayed one night in New Haven, Connecticut, and went to Yale University the next morning to attend Xiaofang's graduation ceremony. That afternoon, they returned to New York. In New York, Xiaofang first took Zhang Chen to visit the 3 high schools she had helped Zhang Xiangbei contact: Trinity School, Regis High School and Charleston School. Xiaofang and Zhang Chen said that in comparison, the reputation of Trinity School was the largest. They have the highest Ivy admission rate, but because their interviews are very strict, there are 2 other schools as backup. After visiting these 3 schools, Zhang Chen was a little worried. He asked Xiaofang, do you have too high expectations for Zhang Xiangbei? You have found such a good school for him. Do you want to find a more ordinary school? Xiaofang said, no need. I have been in contact with Sister Shuwen about Baibei's situation. I know that I am also comparing myself with the students here. Brother-in-law, it's because you have too little confidence in Baibei. Zhang Chen said, okay, you and Awen are experts, I am not, but of course I also hope that my son will succeed. If Zhang Xiangbei is really like what you said, I will only be happy. Xiaofang looked at Zhang Chen and kept laughing. Zhang Chen asked, why are you laughing? Xiaofang said, in the eyes of Grandpa Baibei, brother-in-law, you were also a trouble when you were a child. Zhang Chen was right, it was true, he didn't even look at me seriously before I went to work. Xiaofang laughed. They then went to Chinatown in the southern tip of Manhattan, where they not only found stinky tofu but also spicy hot pot. In the next 2 days, Zhang Chen spent time at the Metropolitan Museum, while Xiaofang went to a Wall Street company to report and look for a house. On his last day in the United States, Zhang Chen originally wanted to visit Target, but Target's headquarters is in Minneapolis, Minnesota, in the north-central United States. Xiaofang and Zhang Chen said that it was already closed. We are in Ontario, Canada, more than 1,800 kilometers away from New York. Zhang Chen gave up even after thinking about it. He just had a phone call with Jessica, and Xiaofang was the translator on the side. Jessica was very happy to know that Zhang Chen had arrived in New York. She said that she would come to New York tomorrow or welcome Zhang Chen to the Minneapolis American market. Zhang Chen could only tell her regretfully that she was here to deal with the problem. It's a personal matter, I'm going back to China tomorrow. Jessica was also extremely regretful on the phone. Target was not able to go, but Xiaofang still drove Zhang Chen to the Target supermarket in New York to have a look. There, Zhang Chen saw the products produced by their company and also saw the ones he designed himself. Xiaofang asked the salesperson about the product, and the salesperson told her that the sales situation was very good. Xiaofang also took Zhang Chen around the Macy's flagship store in Herald Square in New York. Here, Zhang Chen saw almost all the world's famous brands. If Zhang Chen came here 2 years ago, he would definitely have I would like to think that the clothes I designed will one day have a place here, but now, Zhang Chen does not dare to have such extravagant hopes. You have been beaten to disgrace in China, how can you still dare to expect to come to New York and Fifth Avenue? Zhang Chen came back from the United States, and the jet lag hadn't even reversed yet. He went to Sanya the next day. Cao Minfang called Zhang Chen and told him that the first batch of 14 villas in their tropical botanical garden had been built, and she hoped he could come and see it. Look, if there is nothing that needs to be modified, the second batch of 54 buildings will be built according to the standard and materials. This is a big event, so of course Zhang Chen will go. Zhang Chen got on the plane to Sanya dizzy, and fell asleep on the plane. In his dream, he always thought he was still on the plane flying from New York to Shanghai. When the plane was about to land, Zhang Chen woke up and saw for the first time how the stewardess had changed from a black man to an Oriental. She also smiled at him and spoke Chinese. Zhang Chen was stunned for a moment, and then he remembered that he was flying from Hangzhou. On the plane flying to Sanya. After the plane landed, Zhang Chen walked dizzily toward the exit. When he was almost at the exit, he remembered that he hadn't even picked up his luggage. Zhang Chen walked back to the carousel, and when he arrived at the first-class passenger luggage area, he saw the ground staff I have already picked up his luggage and are waiting for him. Zhang Chen dragged his suitcase outside and walked to the exit. He saw Cao Minfang waiting for him. Cao Minfang saw him and said, I see it says the plane has landed. Why can't I get through when I call you? Only then did Zhang Chen remember that his mobile phone had not been turned on yet. Zhang Chen took out his mobile phone. As soon as he turned it on, the phone rang. It was Wen. Zhang Chen quickly picked it up. Mr. Zhang, oops, I'm so anxious. Why can't you get through on the phone? Wen shouted on the phone as soon as the call was connected. Zhang Chen said, I was on the plane before and I just got off the plane now. What's wrong? Mr. Zhang, have you come to Beijing? We are also at the airport. Which terminal are you at, Mr. Zhang? Wen asked. No, I didn't go to Beijing, I went to Sanya, Zhang Chen said. It's over, Wen called out 3 times in a row, and then said, Mr. Zhang, that die-hard Hung Mei is going to Japan. She won't let Jian and I tell you. I really can't help it, so I run away. When I called you in the toilet, I couldn't get through. I was so anxious. You made me sit on this toilet for more than half an hour. Hung Mei is going to Japan? On a business trip? When will she come back? Zhang Chen asked a series of questions. I'm not coming back, Wen said. Ah, Zhang Chen was surprised, what's going on? Wen said, what kind of film company did Hung Mei work with? Sanzu Films, Zhang Chen said. Yes, that's right, this Songzi Yuhua, and that director, who is still very famous in Japan, have been asking Hung Mei to come and work in Japan. Hongmei has not agreed in the past 2 years, and this year, I don't know if she was asked what a ghost, she promised, she will leave soon, Wenwen said. At this time, Zhang Chen was completely awake. He waved his hand towards Cao Minfang and told her to wait. He walked away to make a phone call. Zhang Chen asked Wenwen, where is Hongmei now? She and Qian were checking in for their boarding pass. I came to the toilet. Mr. Zhang, please call her quickly, otherwise it will be too late. She got on the plane and flew away, Wenwen said anxiously. Explain. Zhang Chen said okay, I'll call her right away. After hanging up Wenwen's phone, Zhang Chen immediately dialed He Hongmei. The call was connected, and the phone made a uniform beep 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 sound, but no one answered. Zhang Chen was holding the phone in his hand, feeling very anxious. When the even beep 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 sound turned into a rapid beep 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 sound, Zhang Chen dialed the redial button, and then there was a message from the phone. The sound of beep 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 came, but no one answered. Zhang Chen kept dialing again. Zhang Chen thought of what He Hongmei had told him before, saying that if they broke up one day, one of the most likely ways would be like this. You called me, but I didn't answer, and we separated like this. When Zhang Chen thought like this, he became even more anxious. He held the phone tightly with his right hand, his palms were sweaty, and the phone was almost crushed by him. He poked the redial button with his left hand so hard that the redial button was almost broken. Rotten. The person on the other end of the phone seemed determined and refused to answer the phone. Zhang Chen held his mobile phone and walked around restlessly. He walked from the waiting hall to the outside. The sun outside was bright and white, which made people feel dizzy. Zhang Chen walked back again, and after a while he walked out again, standing at the door again. Walk back. Cao Minfang watched him coming in and out from a distance, like China Mobile, constantly moving, with the mobile phone placed to her ear, her mouth not moving, and she never spoke. Cao Minfang didn't know what he was doing. Zhang Chen kept redialing the phone like this, listening to the beeping sound. It took more than 10 or 20 minutes before he remembered that he dialed Wenwen's number. As soon as the call came through, Wenwen cursed. Oh, Mr. Zhang, why can't you get through on the phone again? Zhang Chen said, I was calling Hongmei, but no one answered. Is Hongmei with you? The one in front. Zhang Chen quickly said, go over quickly and let her answer the phone. Oh, it's too late, Mr. Zhang, Wenwen almost cried, she has already passed the security check. Zhang Chen was stunned. Hey, Mr. Zhang, hey, hey. Wenwen kept shouting on the phone. Zhang Chen lowered his hands and stood there blankly. After a while, he woke up and heard Wenwen's cry. He picked up the phone. Wenwen said, Mr. Zhang, just now that bitch from Hongmei told Qian that she asked Qian to tell you to forget about her. Zhang Chen and Wenwen said, okay, I understand. Zhang Chen hung up the phone. Cao Minfang saw Zhang Chen answer a phone call and walked back a little lost. Cao Minfang asked with concern, what's wrong with you, Mr. Zhang? Zhang Chen shook his head and said, nothing, let's go. They arrived at Banmuishan Resort Hotel and got out of the car. Zhang Chen and Cao Minfang said, I just came back from the United States yesterday, and my head is still dizzy. Cao Minfang understood. She gave the room card to Zhang Chen and said to him, room 501, Mr. Zhang, please rest first, and I won't ask you to have lunch. Zhang Chen said yes. You go up, Mr. Zhang, I'll ask the bellman to bring your luggage up, Cao Minfang and Zhang Chen said. Zhang Chen said no, I can just bring it myself. Zhang Chen dragged his suitcase upstairs and walked into his room. He sat down on the sofa in the living room outside, picked up the phone and dialed He Hongmei. By this time, the phone was turned off. In this way, He Hongmei had been looking at her phone all the time, knowing that he was looking for her, just like she was sitting in front of the computer, changing the MSN status to offline or away, and quietly watching him online. At this time, Jiang Chen understood that he and He Hongmei were over. There was no future. All futures had come to an end today. At this moment, He Hongmei's plane was flying over the Yellow Sea and heading for Tokyo. Thank you Eternal Evergreen Emperor Yan for the reward. Thank you to Evergreen Yan Dottie, Cup Guy API, Humorous Tribe, and Sample Thief for your monthly votes. Thanks for all the votes and reading. Have a good evening everyone. The Pentium Era, South to North. Author, Mei Shi Niang. Chapter 1418. Jiang Chen was very anxious in his dream. He wanted to clarify some things, but it seemed to be getting more and more confusing. What he saw were fragments, none of them were complete. Just when he was about to let the scene continue, another scene was inserted. Jiang Chen was in his dream and wanted to pursue the previous scene. The picture interrupted him. When he looked at the new picture, before he could see what it was, another new picture came in. Many people appeared in his dream. The ones who flashed the most were He Hongmei and Xiao Zhao, Xiao Fang Huihuan, and Tan Shuhen, and even Lin Shuwen and Chu Tianlin. Jiang Chen in the dream didn't even know why he was dreaming of all the people. Women, even Lu Ligan and Meng Ping had never dreamed of them. When he thought about this, Lu Ligan, Meng Ping, and Li Yong suddenly appeared, but they seemed not to be there. Jiang Chen even dreamed of many people from his past, which made him break out in a cold sweat. He saw Gu Shufang looking at him resentfully, and saw Lu Yun smiling at him. How could it be Lu Yun? It's been a long time since he saw these. The old people have come out, why is there no Jin Lily? When he was thinking this, Jin Lily appeared in a flash, as if she was not there anymore, and turned around and turned into Jia Jia. There are many, many more people that he can tell in his dreams that he has never seen before in his life. Who are you, where are you from, where will you go next, how could I see you in my dream? In the dream, Jiang Chen kept arguing and his mouth was dry. He could actually speak Chongqing dialect fluently. Just like Xiao Fang did when he was with He Hongmei or Xiao Zhao, he could laugh and speak Chongqing dialect at the same time. He could also speak fluent English, which shocked Jiang Chen. He never knew that he could speak English. Jiang Chen dreamed of Trinity School in New York, dreamed of those Gothic red brick buildings, he dreamed that he was going to school. No, it was Xiao Zhao who was going to school. No, it was He Hongmei who was going to school. No, it was Xiao Fang was going to school. Jiang Chen heard himself shouting in the dream, no, it was Zhang Xiangbei who was going to school. He also dreamed that they were in Gaija, Chongqing. When he was trying to figure out whether they were in Gaija or Chongqing, the Liberation Monument was erected in the middle of Gaija, which shocked Jiang Chen. He dreamed that Xiao Zhao died, He Hongmei died, and he himself died. He dreamed that the three of them were lying there side by side. He dreamed that Xiao Zhao said to him, cool, and then He Hongmei also said, cool, and Jiang Chen saw himself lying there with tears streaming down his face. He dreamed that he told them, wake up, wake up, wake up and it will be fine. Jiang Chen dreamed that he wanted to wake up from this chaos. He was calling himself to wake up, but he just couldn't wake up. Until he heard the phone ringing continuously, through the chaos, Jiang Chen opened his eyes. As soon as he opened his eyes, he felt as if a switch clicked, and then everything was completely silent, and there was a white ceiling in front of him. All the chaos and noise disappeared when the click sounded. Jiang Chen raised his ears and vaguely heard the sound of someone talking from the corridor. It seemed that one was standing inside the door and the other was standing outside. Someone walked over, said hello to the two of them, and left again. Far. Jiang Chen waited for a while, and the phone on the bedside table rang again. Jiang Chen answered it and it was Cao Minfang. Cao Minfang told him, "It's past 6 o'clock, Mr. Zhang, it's time for you to have dinner. Are you coming to the restaurant below to eat, or are you taking it to your room?" Cao Minfang asked. Zhang Chen said the restaurant. "Do I need to be in the lobby or in the private room?" Cao Minfang asked next. Zhang Chen said, "How can I sit alone in a box in the lobby? I'll come down right away." Cao Minfang said, "Yes, can I order food for you?" Zhang Chen said, "Yes, thank you, Cao Minfang." Zhang Chen was about to hang up the phone when he suddenly remembered something. He asked Cao Minfang, "Are you busy now?" "Not now," Cao Minfang said. "Then let's go to Banmuishan Hotel to eat," Zhang Chen said. When Banmuishan Hotel opened last year, Zhang Chen didn't come. After it opened, Zhang Chen came to Sanya again, but that time he stayed for one night and then left. He didn't have time to go there. He originally planned to go during the Spring Festival. But they didn't come to Sanya during the Spring Festival this year, so they didn't know anything about what this hotel would be like after it opened. They only knew that the business was very good. "Today, I can just go and have a look." Cao Minfang said, "Yes, then I'll notify Lu Hong and I'll wait for you in the lobby below." Zhang Chen got up and washed up and went downstairs. When he arrived at the lobby, Cao Minfang was already waiting for him. The two of them drove to Renmin Road. From a distance, they saw the entrance of the Banmuishan Hotel. It was full of cars and the parking lot was already parked. After a while, their security guards were directing the following cars to stop on the side of the road along Renmin Road. The security guard saw Cao Minfang, greeted her and called Mr. Cao, and told them apologetically that you can only park here on the roadside, because the front is full. Cao Minfang parked the car, and Zhang Chen got out of the car with her. There was still a few dozen meters to go from where they parked to the hotel. Although the sun had set in the west, the climate in Sanya was still very hot. The two of them walked to the hotel. After walking a few steps, sweat started to pour out from their foreheads, but Zhang Chen was happy in his heart. He asked Cao Minfang, "Is it like this every day?" Cao Minfang said, "Yes, it has been like this every day since it opened. The car is parked on the roadside like this, the traffic police won't come to take care of it." Zhang Chen asked. Cao Minfang looked at him and laughed. Zhang Chen himself felt that the question was abrupt. Of course the traffic police would take care of it, but if it was relevant, they could ignore it. Which hotel is not like this? "Mr. Zhang, are you from an alien planet?" Zhang Chen knew that this was what Cao Minfang's look meant, and he also laughed. Lu Hong was already waiting for them at the entrance of the hotel. When they approached, Lu Hong said sheepishly, "Mr. Cao, when you called, the hall was already full, so we can only arrange for you to go to the private room." Zhang Chen asked, "Is this hall better than the box business?" Lu Hong said, "Yes, there are performances in the hall, and everyone likes to sit in the hall outside." Zhang Chen walked into the hall on the first floor to take a look. Sure enough, it was packed with seats. On the stage at the head of the hall, the Peking opera Sanchika was being performed. The sound in the hall was very noisy. Fortunately, this opera did not have any lines. No matter how noisy it is, it doesn't matter. Cao Minfang smiled and said to Zhang Chen that it didn't matter what kind of performance we performed. Everyone wanted to see something new. The Huagu drama troupe from our hometown had been performing here for a month. The lobby on the first floor was full, and the private rooms on the second and third floors were also full. They could only go to the fourth floor. Zhang Chen walked to the backyard that had been converted into a parking lot to take a look. It was also full of cars. The three people took the elevator to the fourth floor. Lu Hong led them into the box and was about to go out. Cao Minfang asked, "Are you busy now?" Lu Hong raised the walkie-talkie in her hand and told her that they knew how to look for things. Zhang Chen laughed and asked, Lu Hong, aren't you from Hubei? Lu Hong nodded and said, yes, I am from Xianing. They know how to look for trouble, Zhang Chen repeated Lu Hong's words. Lu Hong and Cao Minfang both laughed. They knew what Zhang Chen meant. He was laughing at Lu Hong. You are from Hubei, how can you speak like a Hainan esse? Lu Hong's face turned slightly red and she said, it's not like I stayed in Sanya for too long. Cao Minfang and Lu Hong said, you should also sit down and report the situation in your hotel to Mr. Zhang first. Lu Hong sat down and reported the situation of the hotel to Zhang Chen. Outside the window of the private room was the Sanya River. Under the afterglow of the setting sun, the entire Sanya River was shaded by coconut trees on both sides. At that time, Sanya, the city, there are almost no high-rise buildings in the district. They are all short houses of 2 or 3 stories. These houses are also hidden in the golden light of the setting sun and green trees, and are filled with light and mist. This haze of light made those moving on the roof seem a bit unreal, and it also made Zhang Chen distracted. Lu Hong stopped reporting. She looked at Cao Minfang, and both of them looked at Zhang Chen, who was staring blankly out of the window. Two, I have 2 empty seats here, do you know how to let them go? Are you going to do it? There is a parking space and I don't know how to use it. A shout suddenly rang out from the intercom on the table in front of Lu Hong. It was the security guard in the parking lot. He was calling the security guard on Renmin Road. The security guard on Renmin Road scolded him. This sudden call and the intercom were all mixed up. The sound of electric current woke Zhang Chen up. Zhang Chen saw Cao Minfang and Lu Hong looking at him and smiled sheepishly. He said, the scenery outside here is nice. Mr. Lu, please continue talking. Cao Minfang smiled and said, do you want to start from scratch? Zhang Chen asked, what were you talking about just now? Xiao Lu was just talking about having a midnight snack on the rooftop, Cao Minfang said. A midnight snack on the roof, Zhang Chen asked doubtfully, knowing that he was completely distracted in front of him and he didn't hear a word about it. Lu Hong recounted the matter again. She told Zhang Chen that many customers suggested that they have a late-night snack on the rooftop here. The current night food stalls in Sanya are all seafood, and locals like them eat them. I'm tired of it. If there were late-night snacks of their taste and there were performances, business would definitely be good. Zhang Chen understood and said, just like the Lion Tower in Haikan. Lu Hong looked at him with a blank expression, and Cao Minfang smiled and said, the Lion Tower has no late-night snacks for a long time, how could she understand it? However, the conditions for night food stalls in Sanya are better than those in Haikan. In winter, Haikan there are still a few months or 2 when the temperature is over 10 degrees Celsius, and people in Hainan have to wear down jackets, but Sanya will not have such days. Zhang Chen nodded. From this point of view, of course it is. What Zhang Chen is worried about is that this building is an old building. Although they converted it into a hotel and installed an elevator outside, they have already reinforced it. But if the top floor, when a food stall is opened and hundreds of people crowd in at once, can the roof of the building withstand it? Zhang Chen told them his concerns, and Cao Minfang said that he had already had someone from the Design Institute take a look at it, and there would be no problem after it was reinforced. The house was old, but the construction quality at that time was still good. Zhang Chen agreed to let them come up with the reinforcement plan first. If there is no problem with safety, they will do as you say. When the food arrived, Zhang Chen saw that the food here looked like Ziyuan Hunan cuisine, but not quite like it. It looked like the food in Tuxianjiayuan in Hangzhou, but not quite like it. Cao Minfang told him that the dishes here were carefully researched by Fatty Fu and Hui Huan. The purpose was to distance themselves from the dishes at Banmuishan Resort Hotel. It would be meaningless if the dishes in the 2 places were the same. Now in this way, one table of customers has become a regular business of 2 stores. They will eat here and there, changing food. Zhang Chen felt that this was really a good idea, and it was the first time he had heard of it. Thank you, Tin Soldier, for reading books every day, 2 fishes one above the other, third from top to bottom, and a reward at 3 o'clock in the middle of the night. No matter who asks me, I don't even know the reward. Thank you Lao Chentang, AC 777, Daos Hung 123, Qian Dad, Book Friends 201911021135467118, Fan, Tiger, I have 10 hearts of monthly votes. Thanks for all the votes and reading. I wish you all good health. The Pentium Era, South to North. Author, Mei Shi Niang. Chapter 1419. After eating, Zhang Chen and Cao Minfang returned to Banmuishan Resort Hotel. The two parted in the lobby. Cao Minfang and Zhang Chen said, I'm in the office. If you need anything, Mr. Zhang, just call me. Zhang Chen said yes. Zhang Chen walked to the elevator. The elevator door opened, but Zhang Chen did not go in. Instead, he turned and walked towards the lobby. The lobby was in a mess. Their hotel bus had just picked up a busload of guests from the airport. They were here to attend. There was a meeting to appraise scientific and technological achievements. After getting off the car, someone went directly to the sofa to sit down. There were also many people gathered around the sign-in area. 4 or 5 other children were running around in the lobby, screaming. Zhang Chen walked out of the hotel door, walked through the front garden, and walked towards the beach. Although it was already past 9 o'clock in the evening, there were still people swimming in the sea. The lifeguard was no longer on the high chair where the lifeguard was sitting. There was a pole pointing upwards on the chair, and there was a light on the pole. There was a lonely light. There are many people on the beach, sitting, standing, or walking around. Zhang Chen walked towards the other end of the beach, and walked to the place where he and Hui Huan sat that night. He had left the noisy beach behind, and this was a quiet beach. Zhang Chen sat down and looked towards the sea. The moon tonight is very big and round. The moonlight casts a bright silver light on the sea in the distance, as if there is a door where the sea and the sky meet. The moonlight can pass through. It goes all the way down to the bottom of the ocean. In the sea under the moonlight, even the waves become gentle, fine and trivial. The entire sea is like a piece of dark blue wrinkled satin, which is uneven no matter how hard it is cut. The sea breeze blowing on his face had taken away the heat of the day and became cooler. Zhang Chen picked up his mobile phone and opened the address book. The first one was Xiao Zhao's phone number. Zhang Chen stared at the phone and was very surprised. Just press it if you want. For a moment, Zhang Chen was in a daze. He didn't know if Xiao Zhao's laughter and a long hey would come from inside once he pressed it. Zhang Chen's hands were shaking a little. He felt like he was hanging between pressing and not pressing. What he was most afraid of when he pressed was the sentence the user you dialed has turned off. It seemed that because of his pressing, Xiao Zhao was scared away, and there would never be that long hey again. Although he knew Xiao Zhao's phone, he turned it off himself and kept it lying quietly in the drawer of the bedside table. Zhao Jingjing asked him, Xiao Zhao's phone call, should the bank collection be stopped? Zhang Chen told her, no, don't stop. Zhao Jingjing understood. Zhang Chen looked at the bright light in the distance and wondered if he could reach Xiao Zhao's side, if he could get there and walk down from there. Zhang Chen stretched out his left hand and spread his palm facing up. The wind gently blew over his palm. He gently lifted his palm from bottom to top, as if weighing the weight of the breeze. And then slowly bent his fingers, trying to catch the wind, but the wind still leaked out between his fingers. Zhang Chen sighed and pressed the button with his right thumb. He kept pressing it. He pressed He Hung Mei's phone number and stared at it without dialing. He dug a hole in the beach next to him with his hands and buried the phone in it. After his cell phone was buried in the sand, Zhang Chen felt that all contact with the outside world had been cut off and his world was pure. He sat there with his hands on his knees, trying his best to calm himself down and not think about Xiao Zhao or go anywhere. Thinking of He Hongmei, he emptied his mind and didn't think about anything. He stared blankly at the sea in front of him. An easel appeared in his mind, with a stretched canvas placed on it. Then a palette appeared in his mind. He began to use his imagination to mix colors, and then painted one stroke at a time. Now, he wants to draw the sea under the moonlight. He was completely immersed in it, just like what he said to Yao Fen on this beach that day. Miro was painting the sky with his eyes on the beach in Palma. He used his imagination to describe the scene one stroke at a time. The canvas on the easel gradually began to become fuller, and in Zhang Chen's eyes, two moons and two seas appeared, and these two seas were closely connected. I don't know how long he painted like this, but Zhang Chen finally finished the last stroke. He squinted his eyes, as if the painting was right in front of him. This was his proud work, and the joy of success began. The words came out of his mouth. But his body was already a little exhausted. This was a condition he would have every time he finished painting a work that he was satisfied with. He was too involved in his body and mind. Zhang Chen fell down and fell on the beach. He looked at the moon above his head and laughed softly. He lay there with his eyes closed for a while, then stood up and walked towards the hotel. The formerly noisy beach was now quiet, with only a man and woman lying there in a sweet posture, just like Zhang Chen and Huihu on that day. They panicked for a moment when Zhang Chen approached, but when they saw Zhang Chen walking over indifferently, they continued. The moonlight shone in front of and behind them, and on their bodies, as if blessing them. Zhang Chen walked into the hotel lobby. When Cao Minfang saw him coming in, she quickly stood up from the sofa and walked over. She was waiting for Zhang Chen. I called your room number and went to your room again, but you were not there, Cao Minfang said. Zhang Chen nodded. I went to the beach for a walk. The moon is very bright today. Are you okay? Cao Minfang asked. Very good, Zhang Chen smiled. Do I look bad? Cao Minfang really wanted to tell Zhang Chen that since you received that call at the airport today, you have been in bad shape. Although we kept talking and communicating during dinner, your heart was not here. Cao Minfang felt that Zhang Chen's condition today was a bit worrying, so before she went back, she called Zhang Chen's room phone and found that he was not in the room. She also knew that if he was taking a walk, he would definitely not want anyone to call his cell phone. Wait for him here. Zhang Chen looked around and saw that the entire lobby was empty. Zhang Chen asked, are there not many guests staying in the hotel today? It's full, Cao Minfang said. Is it full? Zhang Chen was surprised. Then why is there no one in the lobby? Don't even look at what time it is, Cao Minfang said. Zhang Chen turned his head and glanced at the row of clocks behind the reception desk, and was startled. He saw that the Beijing time clock was already 1 o'clock. So late? Zhang Chen asked. What do you think? Cao Minfang thought for a while and finally said it, I'm very worried about you. Worry about me? What are you worried about? Zhang Chen asked. Cao Minfang shook her head and said, I don't know, but I'm just worried. You've been absent-minded all day today, even though you always wanted to focus. Am I absent-minded? No, Zhang Chen said with a smile. Then tell me, what did Lu Hong say to you earlier? Cao Minfang asked. Didn't I tell you that there would be a night stall on the top floor of the hotel? Zhang Chen said. What else? Cao Minfang asked. And Zhang Chen thought for a moment, but couldn't think of what else Lu Hong said. Zhang Chen asked, did she say anything else? I talked a lot, but they were all business matters, nothing important. Anyway, the reports are sent to Director Zhao and his friends every day. You can read them when you go back, Cao Minfang said. I was really worried about you just now, so I called. You didn't answer your cell phone. If you don't come back, I'm going to mobilize people from the hotel to go out and look for you. Did you call me? Zhang Chen reached out and touched his butt pocket, but there was nothing there. Zhang Chen was stunned for a moment before he remembered that his phone was still buried in the sand. He said, "I dropped my phone on the beach." Ah, Cao Minfang was surprised and shouted, "Then let's go look for it quickly." Cao Minfang walked to the main desk, asked for 2 flashlights, gave one to Zhang Chen who was still stunned, and said to him, "Let's go, there's no one around now. In 2 or 3 hours, the beach in front will be full of people waiting to watch the sun rise." The 2 people took flashlights and arrived at the beach in front. Zhang Chen led Cao Minfang towards the beach. The man and woman were still there, but they had already put on their clothes and sat up, facing the sea, talking quietly. They walked forward for more than 10 minutes. As they walked, Cao Minfang asked suspiciously, "Did you remember correctly? Have you really walked this far?" Zhang Chen turned back and looked at the beach over there. He was not sure in his heart. When he was walking in front, he judged the distance based on the sound of the sound there. Now it was quiet over there. How could he judge? Zhang Chen was standing there. After thinking about it for a while, he said to Cao Minfang, "You ask them to turn on the light above the chair where the lifeguard is sitting." Cao Minfang called the main station. After a while, the lone light came on. Zhang Chen looked at it and said he wanted to go over there. The 2 of them walked for another 5 or 6 minutes. Zhang Chen looked back and said, "It's almost done. It should be here." "Is it possible that it fell off on the way back?" Cao Minfang asked. "Impossible," Zhang Chen said firmly. "How do you know?" "I'm sure," Zhang Chen said, shaking the flashlight around, but he was complaining in his heart. The wind blew the sand, which had smoothed away the traces left by where he had been sitting and lying down, but where could he find his mobile phone? Cao Minfang took out her mobile phone and dialed Zhang Chen's mobile phone, but apart from the sound of the waves caressing the beach, there was no phone ringing. "It's impossible. Even if you can't hear the phone ringing, the phone will light up. You should be able to see it," Cao Minfang muttered. Zhang Chen was embarrassed to tell her that he couldn't see it because the phone was buried in the sand. Because the phone was buried in the sand, they couldn't hear the ringtone, Zhang Chen thought. They looked around. Cao Minfang and Zhang Chen said, "Maybe the screen of your phone was facing down when you fell. Let's look carefully." This could explain what Cao Minfang said about why he couldn't see the lights, but Zhang Chen knew that the real reason was not this, but he still said hello. Cao Minfang held a flashlight in one hand and her mobile phone in the other, constantly dialing Zhang Chen's number. The 2 people separated for a while and then came together again on this beach. The more Cao Minfang searched, the more suspicious she became. She firmly believed that Zhang Chen's mobile phone could not be here. It must have been dropped on the way back. Zhang Chen also became more and more suspicious. The more he looked at it, the less clear he was about where he was sitting in front of him. They searched for another 10 minutes. Cao Minfang stopped and asked Zhang Chen, "Mr. Zhang, are you sure you dropped your phone here and couldn't have dropped it on the way back?" Zhang Chen said, 100% sure. "Okay, I'll call the people on duty from the engineering department and the security department to come over and help us find it together." Cao Minfang said. She pressed the redial button one last time. If there was no response, she would call the main station to transfer someone. Zhang Chen quickly stopped and said no, it was not about the large number of people. What he was thinking in his mind was that no matter how many people came, he still had to be able to determine where to bury his cell phone. Otherwise, even if he sent 100 people to this beach, they would still be busy ants. "Stop, stop, stop, listen carefully," Cao Minfang suddenly shouted. The 2 of them stopped and listened carefully. From the sound of the waves, they vaguely heard the ringing of the phone, and followed the sound to find it. In the past, that place turned out to be 2 or 3 meters away from them. Cao Minfang looked around but didn't see a mobile phone. Zhang Chen knelt on the beach and dug with his hands. After a while, he raised his right hand, holding his mobile phone in his hand. The screen was on and the ringtone was crisp. "Mr. Zhang, how did your mobile phone end up in the sand?" Cao Minfang asked strangely. At this time, there was nothing to hide. Zhang Chen chuckled, "I buried it myself." Cao Minfang couldn't hold it back and burst out laughing. "Thank you for your monthly votes to Water and Youth, Zipanjiang 1, Fantasy in the Wind, Skull, and Xiangji. Thanks for all the votes and reading. Have a good evening everyone. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Pentium Era, South to North. Author, Mei Shi Niang. Chapter 1420. Early the next morning, Zhang Chen and Cao Minfang went to the tropical botanical garden. The botanical garden had begun to take shape. Zhang Chen saw it himself and felt satisfied with the progress here. Jacques is still here. He is darker than the last time Zhang Chen saw him. Not only darker, but also more like a Hainan esse. When he sits there and talks, he also likes to put one foot on the stool. And his current catchphrase is, "Are you going to fall in love with me?" Jacques said this sentence in Hainan esse very clearly. This sentence sounded like a curse to Hainan esse, but when it was uttered by a foreigner, it was a bit funny. Jacques was on the construction site and scolded the sentence, "Are you a prostitute?" Scolded the person, "Are you a thief?" The person being scolded not only did not get angry, but actually laughed. Cao Minfang and Zhang Chen said that Jacques now doesn't even want to stay in a hotel. He thinks it's too time-consuming to come and go, so he lives in the office of the preparation office every day. What's the point of eating? There is a big canteen on the construction site anyway. Eat with the workers. Knowing that the food on the construction site was less meaty, Cao Minfang would bring braised vegetables to Jacques every time he came. Foreigners did not eat pig offal, but after Jacques tasted braised large intestine and braised pork belly, he felt that they were better than braised beef. It was delicious. When he saw Cao Minfang coming, he shouted with joy. He is not stingy either. After getting these stewed meats, he would invite those who were scolded by him, "Are you dumping them?" to eat them together, which made Cao Minfang need to bring more and more every time. Seeing Zhang Chen, Jacques took him up the mountain. When he reached the top of the mountain, Zhang Chen was even more amazed. It turned out that this mountain Col was so beautiful when viewed from the top of the mountain. Looking at it now, Zhang Chen felt that he should add another word, that it's just a variety of weather. Lush tropical plants, well proportioned, covered the entire valley. Zhang Chen felt that the scenery was very similar to the bird's eye view shots from airplanes in those documentaries about the Brazilian rainforest. Seeing Zhang Chen's surprised expression, Jacques grinned. After going down the mountain, Zhang Chen and Cao Minfang went to see the villas that had been built. Jason and the others had designers here. After Zhang Chen saw it, he felt that there was nothing that needed to be modified, so he decided to move on to all the villas. Just follow the style and use the standard material, but each building will continue to be built in a different style. After things in Sanya were finalized, Zhang Chen was about to return to Hangzhou. Cao Minfang drove Zhang Chen to the airport. The two of them walked to the first-class security checkpoint and stopped. Cao Minfang and Zhang Chen said, "Mr. Zhang, I don't know what happened, but no matter what, you have to take care of yourself. You are the backbone of our company. You must take care of yourself. No matter how bad the situation is, you have to think about it. You and we." Zhang Chen felt a little moved when he heard this. He told Cao Minfang, "I will do it. Don't worry, you should also take care of yourself. You have to work hard to have such a big thing in Sanya all on your shoulders." Cao Minfang said it's okay. No matter how hard you work, you will have Mr. Zhang's support behind you and you won't be afraid anymore. So you can't fall. Do you understand? Zhang Chen said yes, we are all from the theater troupe. If anything happens, we should treat life as a play and a small plot in a story. We will act out the play well, thinking that there will be an audience watching. You can't be embarrassed. Cao Minfang nodded. The two shook hands and felt it was not enough, so they hugged each other naturally before saying goodbye. Zhang Chen returned to Hangzhou from Sanya. Wenwen and Qian also came to Hangzhou from Beijing. Wenwen saw Zhang Chen's first words and said to him, Mr. Zhang, Qian and I are both you. From Yuguo, we scolded Hung Mei to death, but it was useless, do you believe it? Zhang Chen smiled and said, I believe it. Oh, don't laugh, Wenwen said. Zhang Chen put on a straight face and said seriously, I really believe it. Wenwen let out a long breath. Zhang Chen asked the two of them, what would the factory do if Hung Mei left? Nothing to do, just do it as it is. It turns out that Qian is in charge of the factory, and Hung Mei is just in charge of design. Now do it, and the drawings will be emailed to you. Qian also hired 2 more designers. By the way, Mr. Zhang, the difference is that Qian and I are both proprietresses, and now the factory is considered a partnership between the 3 of us, Wenwen said. Okay, then congratulations on your successful promotion to the boss lady, Zhang Chen said. What the hell, I'd rather be like before and not have any worries at all. It's not good at all to be a bad boss. He worries about this and that every day, Wenwen said. Me too, Qian said. It's okay, you two are capable of doing a good job, Zhang Chen said. By the way, you said you were worried about this and that. What are you worried about? Are you worried about business? Don't worry about the business, Qian said, I am in charge of the business on Doubao.com. What about the crew? Hung Mei is gone, so the crew's business is gone, right? Zhang Chen asked. Yes, she's not here, and there are others. In Beijing's film and television industry, those diehards are not as familiar as me. I ask them to make my clothes, and they will give it to me. I don't have to worry about this business, Wenwen explained. Then what are you worried about? Zhang Chen asked. We didn't understand. When it comes to fabrics and accessories, aren't they all imported by Hung Mei? We don't even know where to buy them, and we don't understand what's good or bad, Wenwen said. This is not difficult. You can learn quickly. I will take you to Qiqiao and Yuwu to identify a few major suppliers. You can ask them to ship to you in the future, especially for excipients. Just select if you choose the right factory, the quality is guaranteed. Each factory has its own positioning. No matter what comes from the same factory, it will not be too bad. I will introduce our suppliers to you. As Zhang Chen said, Wenwen and Qian looked at each other and laughed. Zhang Chen was surprised and asked, why are you laughing? Wenwen said, this time, we originally came to ask Mr. Zhang to take us there. Unexpectedly, we didn't ask. Mr. Zhang said it yourself. I said that Mr. Zhang is not a stingy person and will not be angry. Hung Mei, ignore us. Zhang Chen smiled and said, of course not. Besides, I'm not angry with Hung Mei. No matter what she does, she always has her reasons for doing it. Wenwen shook her head, sighed, and said, look, such a good man, that die-hard man, is so obsessed with me that he is willing to leave. Alas, Mr. Zhang, you don't like me. If you do me, I will definitely be your girlfriend. Zhang Chen laughed and said, I don't dare, I'm afraid that the strong man will hit me. Wenwen snorted and said disdainfully, him? Huh, I kicked him, and he didn't even dare to let out a fart. Mr. Zhang, don't be hypocritical. I know you don't like me. You have to like me, We will book a room tonight. Zhang Chen chuckled, a little embarrassed and didn't know how to answer this. Wen Wen said, it doesn't matter if we can't be girlfriends, we are still friends, right? Zhang Chen said yes, whether Hung Mei is here or not, if you have anything, just call me and I will definitely help. Did you see that? Wen Wen and Qian said, I just said that Zhang is always reliable. Qian nodded repeatedly. The three of them were talking when Lu Ligan came back from get off work. When he walked in and saw Wen Wen and Qian, he clapped his hands and laughed, haha, what day is it today? Double blessings come to your door. Wen Wen sat on the sofa, raised one foot and faced Lu Lipol, don't mess around. You can treat us to a meal. If you want a hug, Mr. Zhang can do it, but you can't. Lu Ligan scolded, it's so callous. When did I fall to this level? I'm even worse than Zhang Chen. You are not as good as Mr. Zhang, Qian said. No way, Lu Ligan clapped his chest with both hands, then opened it, stood there and said to them, see clearly, this person will soon be the chairman of a Hong Kong listed company. Chairman Lu, do you understand? If you don't flatter me now, you will no longer be able to reach your heights soon. TCH, even if you become the king, get away from me, Wen Wen said, we don't want to suffer twice and suffer the same sin again. Come on, Mr. Zhang, it's better for us to make him angry. Wen Wen said, and sat on Zhang Chen's lap. Qian also sat over. When Lu Ligan saw it, he shouted, I'll join in too. As soon as he came over, Wen Wen and Qian ran away, and Zhang Chen sat there laughing. The four of them went to Tuxianjiayuan Hotel. When they met Hui Huan in the lobby of the hotel, Zhang Chen and Lu Ligan said, you guys go up first. Zhang Chen stood there and told Hui Huan about the scene at the Ban Mu Tien Hotel in Sanya. Hui Huan was very happy to hear that. Zhang Chen said, if you have time, go and have a look. They are also planning to do night food stalls. Are you going together? Hui Huan asked, leaving Zhang Chen embarrassed. Hui Huan smiled softly, looking at how scared you are, can I still eat you? Just as someone from Toshiba came in, Hui Huan greeted them with a smile, and Zhang Chen went upstairs. It was during the meal that Lu Ligan learned that Hung Mei had gone to Japan. Lu Ligan looked at Zhang Chen and cursed, damn, this Sichuan girl is so heartless. Next, everyone stopped mentioning Hung Mei. The four of them finished their meal at Tuxianjiayuan. Wen Wen and Qian insisted that Lu Ligan treat them to a disco, and Lu Ligan agreed. Zhang Chen said, you go ahead, but I won't go. I'm an old man, so I'm still dancing. Qian pointed at Lu Ligan and said, Mr. Zhang, you are not old. You look like his little brother. Wen Wen took Zhang Chen's hand and said, go away, I'm just like you. I'm an old woman too. We get stronger when we get older, and we go crazy when we get older. Zhang Chen couldn't defeat them and had no choice but to follow them to the disco. At about 1 o'clock, after coming out of the disco, they went to Longxiang Bridge for supper. After the supper, Wen Wen and Qian felt that they were still not satisfied, so they suggested going to watch an all-night movie. They arrived at Pacific Cinemas on Woolen Road. Wen Wen said she wanted to buy a couple seat. No, I don't want to, then I want to sit with Mr. Zhang, Qian said. Wen Wen coaxed her and said, please feel sorry for yourself first. During the first movie, you accompanied that person. Can we switch over for the second movie? Qian pouted and agreed, while Lu Ligan stood aside and smiled. After entering the cinema and sitting down in the couple's seat, Wen Wen and Zhang Chen said, Mr. Zhang, I don't care, we must be intimate and affectionate. As she spoke, she got into his arms, leaving Zhang Chen at a loss. Zhang Chen knew in his heart that whether it was Wen Wen, Qian or Lu Ligan, they were all absent this night because of one person. They were thinking of ways to prevent him from thinking about that person in their own way. thinking of ways to make him happy. Just like Cao Minfang said, they are telling him that you still have us. Thank you for the reward of 2 fishes at one time and 3 o'clock in the middle of the night. Thank you for your monthly votes from Evergreen Yan Dottie, Humorous Tribe, Skull, Shi Yitan, Tianying 1978, Angry Adam, Shi Deo, I have 10 pieces of heart, and Chien Dad. Thanks for all the votes and reading. I wish you all good health. The Pentium Era, South to North. Author, Mei Shi Niang. Chapter 1421. We haven't finished watching a movie yet, so the 4 of us fell asleep while sitting there. The double sofa in the couple seat is very large, with a private space surrounded by panels as high as 1 person on 3 sides. It's very comfortable to lie down and sleep there. At 7 o'clock in the morning, the movie ended, and the cleaning staff woke them up. The 4 of them walked out of the theater in a daze. Zhang Chen asked Wen Wen and Qian, shall we leave now? No, no, everyone is like ghosts. I must go and take a nap, Wen Wen said. Zhang Chen gave them his car, asked them to drive to the hotel, and told them to come to my place for lunch at noon. Wen Wen said yes, if you don't get it, you must eat it. Lu Ligan scolded, you have been in the dark for hours, and you haven't done anything about Zhang Chen. Did Qian do anything to you? Wen Wen asked. We fell asleep, Qian said. We fell asleep too, Wen Wen said. Lu Ligan laughed, okay, they are all pure and good young people with a bright future. Go away, there's nothing I can do, but I hugged Mr. Zhang and slept soundly, Wen Wen said. Qian frowned and shook her head, I'm having a nightmare. Lu Lizhu put his hands on his hips and stared at them, and the 2 of them left laughing. Zhang Chen took Lu Ligan's car to the dynamic zone. He thought he might as well go to the office, take a shower, and sleep on the sofa. At noon, Wen Wen and Qian came. Zhang Chen asked the canteen below to bring food up, and told them that at 2 or 3 o'clock in the afternoon, people in the textile city were almost gone. Kikiao was too late today, so I would take them first. You go to Boss Cai's place. Do you know Boss Cai? Wen Wen and Qian shook their heads. Qian said that she had heard of it but never seen it. Then we'll meet today, and you can pick up the fabrics he has there, Zhang Chen said, and Wen Wen agreed. After eating, Zhang Chen took the 2 of them to Cai Jingxiang's stall in the Sijiking fabric market. Boss Cai heard that they were from He Hungmei's place, and they would take over the business of He Hungmei's factory. Boss Cai was very happy. Zhang Chen and Cai Jingxiang said that they were new to this industry and were not very familiar with fabrics. You should teach them about it first. Cai Jingxiang agreed that the fabrics here were mixed and had almost everything, so he started teaching them everything, teaching them what polyester is, what nylon is, what vinylon is, what acrylic is, what spandex is, and what is spandex. Viscose and acetate, including their various common names, have been taught by both native and foreign people. Wen Wen and Qian were very serious. They both took notes in their notebooks, and Cai Jingxiang also took scissors and cut out a sample of each fabric for them, so that they could match what was written in the notebook with the fabric. After staying with Cai Jingxiang for more than an hour, Zhang Chen took them to the Xiaosha factory and the warehouse to familiarize them with various cotton and linen fabrics and accessories. For Qian, she was familiar with the general sewing workshop, but the computer workshop and the wedding dress workshop were unfamiliar to her. Zhang Chen took them to see them. After an afternoon, Wen Wen and Qian already had a general understanding of fabrics and accessories. Zhang Chen said to them, this way, we don't have to go to the textile city tomorrow, and we can go directly to the fabric factory to see if the fabrics are good. How is it made? I will also introduce you to several factories. Zhang Chen's factory has a large amount of fabric orders, and all the fabric factories are like bodhisattvas providing for them. He knows the scale of production at Kinkin's place. With such a scale of production, textile factories generally won't take them seriously. Yes, if you need 2 or 3 pieces of fabric, just let them go to the sales department of China Textile City to buy it. If you do more business for them and less for one, the textile factory doesn't care. If Zhang Chen brought it in person, the weight would be different. For Zhang Chen's sake, they must take it seriously. Wen Wen and Qian agreed. The next day, Zhang Chen took them to Shaoxing to visit 4 companies. Sure enough, Zhang Chen took them, and it was different. Zhang Chen usually couldn't invite them, but now that he is here, how can he let them go? Originally, Zhang Chen planned to go to Yuwu in the afternoon, but he was held back by several companies and refused to let them go. They had to stay in Qiqiao for one night. After arriving in Yuwu the next day, Zhang Chen took Wen Wen and Qian to a thread factory that makes sewing threads, a ribbon factory that makes webbing, and an embroidery factory that makes lace. They also went to a zipper factory, a button factory, and a hardware accessories factory. Almost all the links needed to make a piece of clothing have been clarified, and relevant manufacturers have also established contacts. After dinner in Yuwu, it was already midnight when they returned to Hangzhou. The two of them ran out together. Wen Wen and Zhang Chen said that there was no leader in Beijing. We would take the earliest flight back tomorrow morning. Zhang Chen said, yes, I will see you off. No, no, Mr. Zhang, we can just call a taxi to the airport ourselves. You are exhausted from running with us these past 2 days. Let's sleep a little longer tomorrow, Wen Wen said. Qian also said, yes, Mr. Zhang, thank you very much this time. When we came, we were actually a little worried. What are you worried about? Are you afraid that I will eat you? Zhang Chen asked with a smile. I'm willing to let you eat, huh? You don't want to eat it yourself, Wen Wen said. Come on, Mr. Zhang, I want a hug. Wen Wen and Qian hugged Zhang Chen and started to cry. Zhang Chen said, okay, why are you still crying? He said this, but he was actually feeling sour in his heart. At 3 o'clock in the afternoon, the trading in the futures market ended. After Ren Rongrong briefly reviewed the trading, he got up and went to the water dispenser, refilled his cup, held the cup, walked to the huge glass window, and looked outside. She knew that Chen Yakin was also reviewing the situation at this time. She didn't know whether Lao Ni and Chen Yakin were together, and they probably wouldn't be together. Chen Yakin would be very uncomfortable when he was around, and Lao Ni also knew that Chen Yakin was uncomfortable. But Ren Rongrong knew that even if he was not with Chen Yakin, Lao Ni himself would definitely be reviewing the situation in the office. This could be seen from the time he entered the chat room every day. Ren Rongrong had people record Lao Ni's time in and out of the chat room every day. He would not show up during the market break at noon. Old people are used to taking naps. He would usually show up around 3:30 in the afternoon, after the transaction. This half hour should be the time for him to review the situation. At 5:30 in the afternoon, Lao Ni couldn't move anymore and was about to exit the chat room. At this time, the women he was changing were calling him and he had to prepare where to go to eat with them. Older men like Lao Ni are really boring. Even if they pick up women, they don't have many places to go. They rarely accompany you to nightclubs or watch shows and movies. Eating is the most romantic thing for them. So I take women to dinner every day. Even if you go shopping with you occasionally, your joints will ache soon. He will find a place to sit and wait, take the card and let you swipe it by yourself. In addition to not being able to keep up with the physical rhythm, there are also psychological factors. Whether it is watching a movie or shopping, the old and the young can easily be mistaken for father and daughter. It can be seen that they are either father or daughter, or they look alike. His disdain made Lao Ni feel a little scared. The time when Lao Ni appears in the chat room every day is from 3:30 to 5:30 in the afternoon. During these 2 hours, Ren Rong Rong must pin him in this chat room so that she can keep track of his daily movements. Ren Rong Rong stood there for a while, feeling that it was almost time and Lao Ni should have entered the chat room. Ren Rong Rong walked back to the desk and sat down, put down the cup, and logged into the chat room. She saw one of her men. The two are already in place, and Lao Ni has just come in. Ren Rong Rong also enters the chat room every day, but she speaks very little. She only looks at her subordinates and uses various words to compliment Lao Ni. Lao Ni is an old fox. He is not a fool. There are some words that can easily cause anger. He is alert and feels that you are getting close to him and his motives are not pure. When Ren Rong Rong discovers that someone has such a tendency, he must stop it in time. Sometimes, the heat is not yet there, which makes Lao Ni feel a little uninterested in staying here. When he is ready to change chat rooms, Ren Rong Rong will let everyone add fuel to the fire. He also needs to be fed some new material from time to time, so that Lao Ni feels that besides satisfying his own vanity, he has gained something by staying in this chat room. Otherwise, even if he satisfies his vanity, over time, he will also tiring. On this day, Ren Rong Rong, who seldom spoke, deliberately said in an understatement in the chat room. My classmate's classmate is at Zhengzhou Commercial Exchange. I heard that they are going to launch PDA commodity futures. What the hell is PDA? Sure enough, Ren Rong Rong's words immediately caught Lao Ni's attention. He asked Ren Rong Rong, when will PDA's futures be launched? Ren Rong Rong said, it seems to be in the second half of this year. Lao Ni was silent. Ren Rong Rong knew that the old fox was planning. After a while, Lao Ni introduced to them what PDA was and asked them to specifically tell Ren Rong Rong to pay attention to the launch time of this variety before launching it. Before the trade ends, everyone should clear out some of their positions and set aside funds for us to do PDA. Everyone in the chat room said yes, we must follow the king. Ren Rong Rong and the others had followed Lao Ni to operate natural rubber several times and Shanghai copper once, and they all made money. Ren Rong Rong discovered that Lao Ni now was no longer the same Lao Ni she had when she was with him. Lao Ni's judgment of the market situation is very accurate, especially the timing of his entry and exit. He grasps the timing of entering and exiting the market just right, and he is very decisive and never drags his feet. This makes Ren Rong Rong secretly admired. Moreover, when you continue to add positions in the middle, the amount of Lao Ni will be very large and dense, giving your opponent a sense of oppression and making you feel a little scared when you first fight. All of this made Ren Rong Rong remind himself that this old Ni is not that easy to deal with. He must be careful. If he wants to defeat him, he must kill him with one move and make him die. Otherwise, as long as he gives him if there is a glimmer of hope, he will come back to life and fight back. At that time, he may be the one in danger. The financial strength of Lu Ligan and Meng Ping behind Lao Ni was something that Ren Rong Rong did not dare to underestimate. The opportunity to give a fatal blow does not come at all times. It must be at the right time and place to make it possible. Ren Rong Rong warned himself that he must be patient. She must be like a lion lurking in the grass, lying there motionless, quietly looking at the prey in its eyes, thinking about when to attack, so as to catch the prey in one fell swoop. The phone on Ren Rong Rong's desk rang. Ren Rong Rong picked it up. Gong Shui at the front desk said to her, Manager Ren, the guests from Yangtze Petrochemical have arrived. Ren Rong Rong said yes, I will come right away. Ren Rong Rong stood up and walked out. Yangtze Petrochemical was the ideal partner that Lu Yun asked Ren Rong Rong to find. Thank you for your monthly votes for no future, just remember the original intention, Daodu, Qianqi and Dad, May, gradually enlarging pupils, 21 lectures, and the age of innocence 1122. Thanks for all the votes and reading. Have a good evening everyone.